For me, I think for me it was all about the music back then, just music only. But now I look at it as it's all about the people.
Vocal about protecting your legacy and identity.
I'm not afraid of nothing when it comes to this business. I'm fearless. And that's why I am where I am. I didn't give in to the BS. I didn't give in to it. That's why I walked away from it as an artist. It's like, why do this? Why it's already set in stone. You can only go so far as a black musician or a black artist. The boundaries have already been set, whether you know it or not. You can only get so far. And let me tell you, she said, she went, oh, she said, come here. She said, oh, you're so sweet. She said, you're so cute with your dimples. And she kissed me on my dimple, on my right side of my face. And let me tell you, I didn't wash my face for about a month. I didn't wash my face for a month because Vanity, aka Denise Matthews, kissed me
Oh.
on my cheek. Rest in peace. I
Did you
said, let me
stop
get,
for
yeah,
that?
I just stopped.
You
Yeah,
didn't
I
do
stopped.
anything.
Didn't do anything.
Wow.
Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely zero. See, I can't even remember if people were calling it at that time. Well, I just didn't answer. I just, I just stayed at home. Yeah, I didn't do anything.
I mean, that sounds like um, it was depression. You know,
Yeah,
depression doesn't stop.
I
Yeah.
was depressed. I was low key depressed. Nnamdi!
Goodness, how you doing?
I'm doing good, man. Just running and gunning.
Wow, goodness. How's it been in Vienna? Because you'll be touring around Europe and it's non-stop.
Non-stop. Unbelievably just crazy. It's really nice here.
Wow. I mean, how the fans been? I mean, especially this summer, seeing Lionel and seeing you guys.
Oh man, the fans have been just really receptive and very crazy, considering, like I said, Lionel, the old man who's 74 now, is still
Wow.
killing him, man. He's out there, so much energy, just running around like he's 40 years old, at 35. It's crazy.
Wow. Well, yeah, you're not too far behind. I mean, people still think you're
I'm
in your
not too
30s. So,
yeah, I'm not a spring chicken myself.
that, oh, good. It's been an honor really to be able to get you on and really just to hear your life story because so many people are so familiar with your work as a producer, as a songwriter, as a music director, and generally it'd be interesting just to see how where you started and things like that. But international audience, where were you born and raised?
I was born and raised in Los Angeles, California. Um,
Wow.
yep, born and raised. But to make it more specific, I was actually I lived in a city or town called San Pedro, which is basically it's all LA County. LA County is very huge, and there's a lot of pockets and cities within LA.
Yeah.
So most people, when I say San Pedro, they're like, "Well, what's that? Where's that at?" So I just say, "Hey, it's just LA," just to make it simpler and easier because a lot of people just don't know. But you know, the all surrounding areas. I grew up like in LA, Carson, Compton, Long Beach, you name
Wow.
it. It's all LA County. So most people just say, from LA because there's just so many pockets in LA County. It's just huge.
Wow. Yeah, so for me, I did work out in LA and I worked out in Torrance, lived
Yeah,
out in
Torrance.
Yeah, lived in Redondo
Yeah,
Beach.
Torrance. Yeah. And as a matter of fact, San Pedro is only like 5 minutes from Torrance. That's all considered South Bay.
Okay,
Yeah.
then I know. Okay, I know. Yeah,
Yeah.
okay, because I worked out in Torrance, lived in Redondo Beach,
Yeah.
and then
Redondo Beach.
yeah,
Yeah.
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 I think LA, especially when those of us who even I lived out there, but for those of us who are international, when we think of Los Angeles, the apart from Hollywood, a lot of Death Row and Ruthless kind of gave LA a different sense, and we always think of LA being a very violent and
Yes.
trading day and
Yes.
stuff. Well, growing up as a
Yes.
kid, how was LA then as a kid?
Growing up, LA was pretty tough, man. It
Wow.
was pretty tough. I think the good thing about it was that even though where I lived in San Pedro, it was considered like it was RSP, Rancho San Pedro. It was the project. So
Oh,
it was really crazy, man. It was really, really crazy. But the one good thing I could say that I took out of that was it made me grow a thick skin. In other words, resiliency, just being resilient because growing in something, I was a sickly child growing up. I had asthma, I had eczema. I had all these, problems as a kid growing up. So, kids will tease you, and
yeah.
they'll mess with you and all that. So, like I said, that made me grow a really thick skin to basically be ready for the music industry and for people all around. It doesn't bother me that it just made me really, really made me really like just resilient. And I think
Wow.
that's the one good thing I can pull from growing up in that environment in that society.
When I've spoken to people who grew up in New York and they talk about how in the 80s there was the crack epidemic that really affected them, then those in LA, it feels as if the gang scene was just started to be pushed. How did you maneuver to sort of keep away from, say, the drugs and the gangs as a
You
kid?
know, a lot of that, because like I said, I grew up in the heart of all of that.
Wow.
But I had a great family, man. My mother, my grandmother, my uncles, they were all very supportive of me. And on top of that, my mother, we grew up in the church. So
Ah,
she
okay.
was very, very adamant about, she was very hard, and very protective of me as a child growing up. So I didn't really, even though I was exposed to it, I was deathly afraid of my mother and my family. So my mother was just like, she didn't play. Celestine does not play. Trust me when I tell you this. So I was very, I just looked up to her, not just as a mother, but as a role model because she was a gospel pianist in her own right. She played in all the churches, all in LA. She's been on records. She's been on. So, as a kid growing up, that was like, that was everything. She was like my superstar. She was like my role model.
So when you got into music, was it influenced by your mom, or did you have an option? Did you want to play sports, or
I did want to play sports. I wanted to play baseball. I wanted to play football. I also I was into graphic arts. I actually got a scholarship to the Art Center College of Design in Pasadena, California, which I did attend for a while because I love to draw. I collect comic books. I was a nerd. I collect comic books, and I did all of that stuff as a kid. But all of those things kind of kept me out of being in the streets. It did. I was really into drawing. Um, yeah, I did all of that stuff. Coming up. But again, music was always in my blood. Because of my family line, my mother, my uncle, my uncles, my grandmother, my great grandmother. They all played piano. They all played. They were all musicians. So it was just a matter of time for me, I guess.
I mean, so was it just pretty much if you're coming from a generation of musicians, did you have to learn as a young child? Like, come on, Chuckii, music lessons, or was it stuff that you naturally go to the piano and start playing?
I think it was a natural progression for me because I just remember as a child, my mother just stuck this little toy piano in front of me and
Okay.
I just started banging on it. And as well as my godmother too. My godmother is Glodine White, who was, the wife of Barry White. Her and my mother were best friends, growing up as
Wow.
kids. So that's how the connection, got to Barry was through my godmother. But my godmother used to babysit me, watch me, and she used to tell my mom, well, you got one, you got another musician in the family.
But
So yeah,
I'm thinking about because I was into the comics as well. But I mean, were you just an avid reader, or is it that you were fascinated about drawing and creating your own?
I never learned how to read music. It was just all by ear, natural, just like my mother and my grandmother. They all played in the church without any formal training. I've never had any formal training whatsoever. Uh, it was just all by ear
But
and
what
just
difference does that
listening.
make then? When because I'm just trying to, especially those of us who have young kids who are trying,
Yeah.
and it seems as if you're trying to get them into it, and if you don't know how to play, you almost have them read the music. But for yourself, how did you find it when you just had to learn without listening?
Uh, it's that I think is a God given, a born talent. You have to be
Okay,
able to listen,
okay,
to pick up certain things. That's actually a God given talent. You have to be able
okay.
to listen to things and go to the bass or the piano and say, okay, I'm gonna play this and just start. There it's a talent, man. It's just something you can't learn. You
Uh,
cannot learn that. You have to. It has to be within you.
so it's almost like you hear something and you're trying to replicate it.
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. That's a God given talent, and there's a lot of people who are that way. Believe it or not. I mean, to the point to where you listen to them, you hear them, and it's just like, wow, this kid, he has to either learn, he has to, was taught music, or I'm sure he went to school or he had formal training. No, this is all by ear.
Okay, because
Yeah.
when I try and get my kids to think, okay, if we were to get you in a sort of church band and they're just moving into a new song, can you go? And I said, no, no, I need the sheets to see
Yeah, yeah,
what the chords are. But
yeah, yeah.
there are others I
Which
know
is
who
fine.
just sit in and then they're just hearing and just join in, almost like, okay, this is a flow, I know what it is, and they can
Right,
just.
right, right, right. Yeah. No, I mean, reading is fine too. Don't get me wrong. There's nothing wrong with reading. In fact, I wish I could have had some type of formal training. But for me, I think the best musicians are the ones who read by ear, but also have had some formal training along to just basically put it into perspective. Those type of musicians are amazing because
Wow.
they have the best of both worlds.
Yeah, yeah, and yeah, and I guess you know if because I guess when you can hear by without reading, there's no barriers. I guess I would assume that
Right,
you don't think
right.
about, okay, this is the chord structure, and you have to end here. You can just you can just be picking up songs
Yeah,
and your
yeah,
imagination.
yeah. And again, it also depends on what type of occupation you want. Some people are just born to read music, like basically orchestra. Those type of musicians who are in an orchestra. You have to be an avid reader.
Mm.
I mean, you cannot go in there and say, "Oh, I want to do this entire concerto or this concert by ear." That's not going to happen. There's
Okay.
so many parts and so many intangibles and variables within music that you have to read. So some people they enjoy that part of it. Some musicians actually like that. But me, as just one who plays by ear, I could never do a concerto or an entire orchestra. It would take me literally weeks and months to learn all those nuances of the way that the show flows. It would take me weeks to have to learn all that, then do it. But in doing entertainment and live TV, you need someone who reads. You just slap the music in front of them and say, "Okay, we're about to go on live in 5, 4, 3, 2, let's go." That's a whole nother can of worms.
But you're a music director, and you're not just responsible for your own instrument, but you're responsible for everyone else. So are
Yeah,
you saying that's more rehearsal and makes sure everyone's on point as opposed to directing them as if, or what's
yeah.
the difference between you and a conductor?
Well, big difference. I mean, a conductor is like he has the music in front of him. I mean, he's looking at it, right? He knows where everything is supposed to be. As a music director, it's like I basically put the show together. So I already know all the parts. So all I'm doing is just giving the parts that I hear in my head to the musicians and say, okay, play this, play that, play this. And then we work it out to see if it flows like it did in my head. And if it flows right, then we're on to the next song. Do the same thing. Let's work out the parts, the arrangements. Let's see how it works out. Boom, let's hit it, let's go. So it's a big difference.
Yeah, but with a music director, do you give the musicians, especially if you had, say, Jubu playing lead and you had DOA playing bass, do you then say, okay, this is the general structure where we want to go?
Right.
but you can feel free to flow if you see
Oh
the
yeah.
singer going this way and that way.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Like, if that was the case, yeah, okay, this part is the verse, this is the chorus. All right, Jubu, this is your time to shine. You got a solo right here. You can do your thing. Do your thing. I'm really a parts guy. So if it's like, let's say if it's like a Lionel Richie record and there's a certain part on Easy, I mean, every musical director is different. However, I'm the type of person that just like, you know what, let's play it like the record. We could add little stuff in here and there, little changes and nuances. But for the majority of the part, let's play it like the record because that's what people want to hear when you go to a concert. You don't want to hear like this 2023 remix of All Night Long. It's like, yeah, it'd be dope, but that's not what that's not what they came to listen to. They
Okay.
came to hear the record, you know what I'm saying, to hear
Okay.
those parts. So I'm a parts guy.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm a
Okay.
parts guy.
So getting that. So as a kid, then when did you have to make a decision between going down music and abandoning your love for graphics and art and things like that?
Uh, well, you mean as far as like what
Deciding
made
which
me?
to take it one serious, because if you're getting a
It was
scholarship to
hard. It was tough. My godfather actually made that decision for me.
okay, so as everyone forgets Barry White, you said Barry.
He
Okay.
made that decision for me. I just remember we had a
How
one
old were
day we
you
had a
about
oh,
that time?
I was like 17, 18.
Okay.
17, 18, somewhere around there. I just remember we had a conversation and I just remember him, he said like because he always used to call me Chuckalock. He said, Chuckalock, what you doing? And I say, oh, I'm just drawing, I'm doing some stuff. And he said, yeah, that's all right, boy. He said, I don't know why you effing with that music. He cursed like a sailor. So why you effing with that music? That's bull crap, blah, 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 blah. You should be doing music. Music is your love. That's what you should be doing, Chuckalock. And I was like, yeah, yeah, it's, I was listening to him, but, I like doing a little bit of everything. And like I said, it was for me, I love to do like various things. So, but I got a call one day from him, and he called me and said, I'm going on tour. I'm going to France. I'm going to do a show. I want you to play. I'm like, okay, well, you want me to play? All right. So I'm in the Love Unlimited Orchestra. I'm playing. We did we had a couple of rehearsals, and I remember we went over to France, and this was in '87. We did the show, and I just remember during the show, this is where it all changed for me.
Wow.
During the show, we're doing it, and in the middle of the show, Barry says, I'm going to introduce the band, and so and so. Then he got to me, and he said, and this is my godson playing on keyboards, Mr. Chuckii Booker. And when he said it, I heard all these girls screaming. And I just immediately, I was like, okay, I know what I want to do now. I know what
Oh,
immediately. I said, I'm a musician. I don't.
wow.
I just recall. I don't recall any girls screaming when I like drew a character or a picture of them when I was in school. I don't recall really getting any screams when I played baseball or football. So I'm like, oh, this is it. That's what did it.
You know what? When you think about it, I mean, is it common for Black kids at that time to get into art and design and to think that there could be a career? And I wonder if that was a sense of, wolf, it's good that you're talented, but art at
it.
those days.
It takes so much more than just talent especially for Black children to make it. It's so hard. It's so tough. Even like I have conversations with my mom now, and she was just like, man, I just didn't know how to do it or how to get you into a space to where you could say, look, you got to find an occupation or a job to do what you want to do. She always wanted me to be a musician.
Okay.
Uh, however, I think she just wanted me to explore other avenues just in case
Mm.
I didn't cut it. So she made sure that I stayed in school and did other things, which was great because I did end up getting a scholarship for graphic arts. But I think somewhere along the line, she knew that I was probably going to be a musician anyway. But it's so hard, man. I had breaks. I would happen to be in the right place at the right time, had the right people around me. But again, 95% of the people that have the same talent I do aren't so lucky, and they don't have those breaks. So in that sense, I was very fortunate, and I'm very blessed to be in a position to not only take advantage of the opportunities that my godfather gave me, uh, but I'm gonna tell you this right now, though. I will say this: had my godfather not been there uh, as a musician, I still felt in my heart that I was going to be successful anyway, because it was the drive that I had. Once I knew exactly what I wanted to do,
Mm.
there was no drive like no other. And I
Wow.
think that's what my godfather's saying. He said, okay, yeah, people say, oh, he had a silver spoon in his mouth. Oh, Barry helped him. No, Barry did help me, but it's also, Barry gives you a map, and it's like, okay, which way are you going to go? I can only do so much for you.
Yeah.
At some point, it's up to you whether or not you want to make that decision to give it your all.
Yeah.
So, in that sense, I had to drive like nothing else.
I think those of us who knew of you, especially internationally or so, probably didn't put the connection with Barry White until later on where you're mentioning him. So I doubt if we thought, oh yeah, Barry White gave him and opened the doors for him. But I do wonder, he was, he's a legend, but in the 70s. So growing up, when he's coming around the house, did you see him as wow? Did you just see him as your godfather, or did you not see him as the superstar with the he's tall, he's got the deepest voice on earth. I mean, he must have been
Wow. I mean, when I first met him, I was 10 years old. So he was already at the height of his career.
wow.
As this was like in 73 when he had 72 when he was recording Can't Get Enough of Your Love.
Wow.
This is where I first met him. And he came over to my mom's house, because at that time, him and my godmother, they were dating. No, they were in a relationship. So my godmother told him about me and said, hey, what my best friend, her son is really, it seems like he's into music, so maybe if you give him some, courage and, some encouragement. And I remember he came over and I just seen him walking up the stairs to my house. I'm just like, wow, that's Barry White, man. It's like, wow, as a kid, that's just, you know, and he was so cool. He walked in and he just said, I just remember him saying, like, oh, Celestine and, Glodine, tell me that you play the piano. You gonna play something for me? And I was like, sure, yeah, I'll play. So I went over to the piano, played a couple of songs, and he said, that's good. He said, can you play something else? And I played it, and I just remember he had a conversation and with my mother, and next thing I knew, I was going up to his house, and just hanging out with him and watching him, watching him in the studio. I used to be in the studio with him, and just I was like a sponge. I just took it all in.
Wow. So he had a recording studio at his home.
Oh yeah,
Wow, back in those
oh
days.
yeah,
I mean, it's so much that we're seeing it
oh
now,
yeah,
but to do it back in those days, that's wow.
oh yeah. Oh no, his studio was fly. It was a trip because he had his main home like right here, and then you go up the stairs. He bought this house that was above him. He turned that house into a studio, a full-fledged crazy studio, man. And I just remember I used to go there and just watch him, check him out. He also used to work in another studio in the valley called Whitney Recording Studios, which was in the San Fernando Valley. Um, I remember that as well. But once he built Rise Studios, which was the name of his studio, that's where I spent a majority of my time with him, working at his studio.
But as a kid, did because I would have thought then as a kid watching him record, the sense of wow, I wouldn't mind either recording or producing or just learning and being in that. But you were split between the music and drawing, and you just I guess
Yeah,
the novelty of everything just disappeared soon, and you
yeah. Like I said, I was always exposed to the music, even as a kid, but I just didn't know, just, but I think Barry really brought it out in me as far as like, okay, this is what I think he wanted to see if I was really interested in it. Because after the first time, I was in the studio with him, I kept saying, "Hey, man, when you gonna get me back in, man? I need this. I need to see how you create, how because I had the same sentiment. And at 10 years old, I felt like I was ready to produce then.
Wow.
Seriously, I never told him that, but I felt in my heart like I can do this. Everything you're doing, I can do it. I just
Wow.
didn't really get the opportunity until later on.
Yeah, I mean, can you imagine if this was now where you just get a laptop and you just make your beats.
If I had that back then, it would have been a wrap. Trust me, it would have been a wrap. It would have been a wrap.
So he took you on tour and then you said, okay, this is what I want to do. Did you then? What was the idea then? Was it just to be in his band? What was your thoughts about how your career would
Uh,
go?
I think after that, what I did was I said, okay, I did this. I never really wanted to be a solo artist. I was just strictly looking at production writing as my focus. But I did. I had a group. I was in a group called New World that was signed to my godfather's label, Unlimited Gold. He said this will be the stepping stone to people really knowing who you are and what you're about. So we did an entire record. We actually put out a single called "Don't Let Go," which was a ballad that my godfather produced and locally in LA. And it did well. It did well for us. It did great. Uh, After that, uh, my godfather, he disbanded his label, and then I ended up joining a group called Tease right directly after that. And I was kind of like the keyboard player, so and so. But at that time, I was also part of uh, I was part of a production group in the Valley, in San Fernando Valley, called Jam Power Records, where I was also producing new artists at the same time. So
Wow.
I was always busy, man. I was doing two and three things at once, even as a young guy. So I did a lot. That's where I got a lot of my work ethic by working with Tees and working with this company called Jam Power Records in the Valley.
Now, I think one of the things I've heard about Barry White, I've seen some clips of him talking about the business that it's it's you have to work and about all the ins and outs of business. Being that close to you, did he explain this is the business side? Everything from publishing and points and all this stuff and
Oh yeah,
about
yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, so far it's like that part was easy.
to
I
learn.
think to learn about the business. The bad part was that at that particular time, the business was changing. It
Wow.
was changing. Everything was going digital. Everything was just really changing as far as the business ethic of the music business was changing. So, yeah, it was cool that I did learn a lot about the old school, but everything was just changing so fast. So I was in a position to where it's like, okay, we're entering a new area for the music and the music business. Uh, so it was a little difficult for me, but at the same time, it was very challenging. But it was something that I was willing to accept.
When you during those early days in LA, who were the people that everyone might know now that you ran across before they made it big?
Uh, well, I went to high school with DL Hughley.
Okay.
DL was
Okay.
DL was my dude. He was my friend in school. So,
Wow.
but I know I shouldn't say this, but I'm gonna say it anyway. But he was a little gangbanger in school, so I couldn't hang with him too much.
Okay.
So he was DL was wild, man. DL was crazy. He was the type of guy like we would go to school. I would always meet him in front of school, every morning, and we would go walking in. We go walking into the school, and he had this bomber jacket, and I'm like, DL, man, it's like 80 degrees out here, man. It's like, why are you wearing this bomber jacket? Man, he'd open up his jacket. He got like a machete. in his jacket. I'm like, dude. I was like, what?
Well,
I
I
said, what
can.
you got that for? I said, what is that for? He said, man, there's this dude, man, in this dude in class, man. Man, he said, I swear for God, if you say one more thing to me, I'm a chop him up. That's the kind of dude
Oh
DL was in
my
school.
goodness! My
Oh, he
goodness.
was crazy.
But did you ever think he'll make it big as a comedian and stuff? Or
You know, I didn't. I never looked at him as a comedian. I just think he was such a banger in high school. He was such a banger in school. I just didn't see him as that. I never recall DL as being funny ever in school, ever, never, not once.
wow, I
And
mean
he'll
that.
tell you if you ask DL now, he gonna say, "Hey man, I heard Chuckii." He gonna say, "Oh man, he always tell that story," but it's the truth. He says, "I'll never get away from that." You won't. DL was a monster in school.
But I think that's always good to see that people can change. I mean, because anyone
Yeah,
can now just think of him as one of the funniest guys out there, but to know that that wasn't his beginning, it means that you can.
it was. Yeah, it was his beginning.
Oh, goodness.
It's for real.
But you're in LA. You've got Hollywood, where the world sees as the capital of stars. Did you see stardom and stuff as a kid growing up in LA? Did you think,
That
yeah,
stuff that stuff never bothered me. I think that's one of the other reasons why I can work with so many different people because I am nowhere near that starstruck because I grew up in it. I grew
okay,
up in a time where I was in the studio with my godfather, and then he get a call and it's Michael Jackson is on the phone, or you know, uh, Jermaine Jackson come over to the house and hangs out. He's got all these people coming through, and I'm just like, he used to say, uh, Chuck this is Jermaine. They say hi. Jermaine was cool. He was like, hey, and I'm just like, hey, it's cool.
wow.
It's
Did
all
you ever see
good.
Michael as a kid?
Michael used to go over to my godfather's house, but he would never allow us to go up to the studio whenever he showed up. He
Okay.
never did, but we knew he was up there, but we never, he would keep that time close and personal, for them two. But
Okay.
he never. But I knew he was there, but we never were allowed to, hang out with him or meet him or anything like that. So,
You mentioned being in that production stuff. Who were any ones that broke out that you produced in those early days when you were with that production company?
oh no, not really, not really. No one really broke out. Other than I did work with uh, one artist named Melanie Andrews, she was a solo artist on the Jam Power label. She ended up at that time she was the best. She was one of the best, really good friends of Janet Jackson, and so she co-wrote "Let's Wait a While" with Janet
Oh.
at the time when but she was also part of this production company that I worked for. So Melanie did very well. She did very well.
Wow. How did the transition? Because you're doing a group, you're doing a production, and actually, when he folded his label, did you then think, oh, it's over, or what was?
Oh no, no, because at that time uh, I was already working with Tease, the band Tease,
Yeah.
and I was doing the production stuff and for the production company in the Valley. I was doing that. I was also writing and doing other stuff. I was just really, I was just working. I was doing my thing, man. That
And
didn't stop me.
was this? Did you think you were living your dream? That was you producing and this small musician at the side. Was that to you what you wanted, or did you
Oh
think?
yeah, yeah. That's what I just wanted to be a music producer. I just wanted to write records and produce. I did not want to be a solo artist at all. That was all by accident.
But who were you? Who were you looking at as producers wise? Back then especially in the 80s, that you were like, wow, look what they're doing, and
The only I would say producers that really like got a hold of me, like really just grabbed me. Well, one was of course my godfather.
yeah,
Second was David Foster.
wow.
That he's one of my idols.
So
And
you're
my
talking about
other
"Unbreak
idols,
My Heart," David
oh
Foster.
man, I got stories, bro. I got serious stories, man. But me and David, but alongside I have four idols, and basically that I look up to. Barry, one. Stevie Wonder's another, who I just patterned my musical sense around as a kid. David Foster and Jimmy and Terry, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. Those are my guys. That's my I call my fantabulous four. You know.
Wow. I mean, a lot of us know about Jimmy and Terry, but if we talk about David Foster, because for those, I mean, most of us in R&B, apart from when he did the "Unbreak My Heart," but he was more known for doing stuff with Celine Dion and pop and stuff like that.
Oh,
Ha-
his track record. You have to do some research.
oh,
Is by far one of the most prolific and most well-rounded careers I've ever seen in my life.
wow.
Now, I'm gonna just throw a couple of songs at you. It's gonna tear you up. You probably don't even know that the stuff that he's wrote or that he's produced or he's been a part of. I don't know if you remember this song by Bloodstone, uh, "Wildflower." You remember that song? No?
I'm sure if I heard it, I would know it. I'm sure.
Okay, you need to look that up. That is a crazy song. Okay, here's another one. Cheryl Lynn, to "Got to Be Real." What you find?
Yep.
That's David Foster.
Oh, I thought it was Jimmy and Terry. Wow.
No, "Through the Fire."
Chaka
Shaka
Khan
Khan.
for
Yes. Here's another one. We probably know this one. For a while, when love was all we could do. After the love is gone, Earth, Wind, and Fire.
he did
It's,
that?
it's David Foster.
You kidding?
Yes. Like I said, you don't know this man's track record is unbelievable. Chicago. Hard to say I'm sorry. You're my inspiration. That's only part of. I went to this man's house. I actually worked on. He was working with Brandy on her "Never Say Never" album. I believe it is. He did a song called "One Voice" on that album, which he called me and asked me if I could come in, help him. I ended up doing some drum. I played synth bass and drums and some keys, and he ended up playing some stuff on it, and made that record. But I went to his home, and I think he does this on purpose. So he says, "Yeah, let me take you into the office, so we can talk about it." And you walk into his office. This office, first of all, is the size of a warehouse. Okay, that's number one. But let me tell you this: every inch of that warehouse, on all the four walls, are covered platinum and gold records.
Wow.
I kid you not. If there's one time I was really like just really taken aback, that would be one of them, because I had no idea of this man's. I mean, I knew about it, but I just didn't know it was to that extent of that. Just every inch of all four walls were covered in gold and platinum records. I've never seen anything. Not even my godfather's repertoire was like that. I was like, I mean, and it was huge.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
My godfather's got, yeah, he has sold over 130, 40 million records. So he's got plaques, and he's got, he's got, records, gold, platinum records, but not like David.
Yeah, you know what? I don't. I didn't realize
Woo!
he did so much R&B soul music. I knew
Oh
he did a
yeah.
few, but not to that extent. And
Oh yes.
wow.
Trust me. Go look him up. Well, let me see. I think I got a. Where's my thing at? Uh, no, I was looking at
Yeah,
my iPad.
no,
But
it's fine. Yeah, no, we're gonna do some because as I said, it's stuff
do
that's yeah,
do
we're
your
gonna
research.
yeah, because as I said, I mean, but how did you get introduced to him?
One of his engineers. I think I knew one of his engineers, and he. Oh yeah, no, I tell you what. I know exactly what happened. I did a remix for Brandy. Brandy did a live show. I can't remember it. She did the song "Baby, Baby, 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 Baby,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Baby." I ended up doing the live version of that, and I flipped it and put a whole bunch of stuff in it. And she played it live. I can't remember what show award it was, But I think David Foster was there. He asked the director of the show, like, "Hey, who did the music? Who did the arrangement for that baby, baby, baby song with Brandy?" And the guy said, "Oh, this kid Chuckii Booker." So he got my number and he called me and said, "Hey, come up to the house. I want you to,
So
you know."
he did he just call you and did you say who's this? And he said
Yeah,
it's
he just
David.
called. He just called and said, "Hey, this is David Foster." He's cool, and he's mad cool. David is mad cool,
No,
super
how
cool.
does it to receive a call from David Foster at that time that you knew?
Oh,
Were you shocked
honestly,
or you knew before he was going to call on?
no, I didn't know he was going to call.
No,
No, honestly, I was blown away because, like I said, as a kid, I listened to all the Chicago records. I listened to all that stuff, everything that he's done. So I know his style. I know his flavor. Like I said, I'm a sponge. I have many, many influences. It's not just people just say, "Oh, he's just a Prince influence." No, no, no. Prince is one of my many influences. But before that, it was Stevie and uh, David Foster, Jay Graydon, all those guys. Bootsy, Parliament. I have a serious funk, repertoire too. So I listen to it all. Jazz.
Wow, goodness.
I listen. I get it all. It's
Yeah,
not just Prince.
yeah. No, I definitely need to make sure that we dedicate time to sort of celebrate David Foster because I didn't realize how much he's been in,
Oh,
how much of an influence he has been our music, but on music in general, and that he can go from pop rock, pop R and
that
B,
dude. I'm
soul
telling you,
without
that
missing a beat.
dude. He's a music god for real. And
Wow.
I can say that I'm very blessed and fortunate to have spent a lot of time with him, in the studio and out of the studio. So, you know, he's one,
Wow.
like I said, he's one of my top four.
Jimmy and Terry, then, what would you say about them? So I think just especially when you're doing the production stuff, they were this, they must have SOS band, they were doing all this stuff.
Yeah,
So you must have been looking at them as well and
I
thinking, wow,
was. Yeah, I first saw Jimmy in the studio. There was a studio in LA. God, what was the name of that studio? It was called Studio Masters, or I can't remember. But they were working on doing some music for, it was a group called Climax, the all girl group.
yeah. Bernadette Cooper and Chico
Yes,
Cervi, and
yes,
yeah.
yes. Well, they actually did, before they did SOS Band, they did a project with Climax. And then the name of that album was called Girls Will Be Girls, I think. Girls Will Be Girls? I think so. To me, that was like some of the funkiest stuff they ever did. They did a song called Heartbreaker, song called the so Wild Girls. They had a song called Wild Girls.
Wow.
That joint was fire, fire, straight fire. And I just remember they were in the studio cutting some of that stuff. I was with Kipper Jones, who was the lead singer of Tease at the time.
Okay.
So we were working. They had like three rooms down there. I think Babyface was working with the Whispers in one room. And they let us hear. They let us hear. Face let us hear a little bit of
Rocksteady.
Rocksteady. They were cutting Rocksteady in one room, and then in other rooms, Jimmy and Terry. And Jimmy was just, when I walked in, I just remember we walked in because Kipper said, "Hey man, can we meet Jimmy?" And one of the guys in the studio, he said, "Yeah, let me go talk to him to see if he's cool." And I don't even know if Jimmy remembers this, but we walked in, and I just remember he was ripping on this OBXA. He was just killing it, and I'm looking at it like, I can do that. I can do that. He ain't the only one. He don't know, but he's gonna know one day. He'll know. That's how I was looking at him, just like, God, that's a bad boy. And I
Wow.
just remember he just turned around. He was really cool. He came over and said, "Hey, nice to meet you." I mean, I was nobody, but still, he was super cool, super cool. And immediately, I was like, I want to be like this dude. He's just super cool, but killing, killing.
Here's music history. You had LA and Babyface producing in the same studio, and Chuckii Booker's right in the middle. And I
Yeah.
don't know if you knew that they were going to be the two of the biggest
Already
producing.
knew they were
Oh, even at
already
that. Oh, but
well, at that time they were already huge. You know, Face was just, I mean, he just did Rocksteady, but I knew that song was going, I knew it was going to kill. I did immediately. As soon as I heard it, I'm like, whoa, that's a crazy record.
Oh, goodness.
But Jimmy and Terry were doing Climax before they did SOS.
Yeah, but then that, I mean, but their names were their names as
I
synonymous
think,
until they did Climax, until they did SOS, and they moved to Alex, and they kept going, and Janet. I
yeah.
mean, so with as a producer, you knew that they were, even when they were doing Climax, that oh, these guys are serious heavy hitters.
Oh, I already knew. I knew they were heavy hitters. You could just tell by listening to their music.
Wow.
I knew.
But
Yeah.
how do you make sure that you're not going all over the place and having the Chuckii Booker style, even though you're influenced by all these what you're hearing? But how do you make sure that okay, you're not going to try a little bit of this, try a little bit of that, and just not really have your own identity? How's that as a young producer seeing all this and thinking and not being overwhelmed as well? Because some people can be overwhelmed seeing what these guys are doing and think, okay, I don't think I can. Well,
It's just a matter of preference. Some people, or some, I would say some producers, we call them bandwagoners. All they do is they hear the hot sound and then they'll go out and just try to copy it.
yeah.
I mean, God bless them. If that's what you want to do, that's cool. But me, I was just built different. I tried to incorporate all of the influences to make whatever my sound would be. I made that a priority. I did not want to sound exactly like, or I didn't want to sound exactly like this person, or try to be my godfather and do a record and just try to talk low. No, I'm not doing that. I can't do it anyway. So no, I wanted my own identity. I did. I wanted to have my own identity.
What about the writing part? Because I know you've got the gift for the ear to find the music, but the actual writing the lyrics, how hard or easy was that for you?
It it you know what? It didn't seem like it was that hard. I did, listen to a lot of what my godfather taught me as far as writing, how to write a hook, or how to write lyrics, or how to write a bridge, how to write verses. Uh, so I did have a head start in that sense, just by watching him. But for the most part, it was just trial and error for me. Just keep doing it until I felt something felt good to me, and then I bounce it off. Whoever say, "Hey, what do you think of this?" And they say, it's okay." Well, whoa, this is dope. This is crazy.
Then how did the next move after the production deal? What did you then start to switch to do? Are we still with Tees? Did you think you were going to get signed or?
No, I actually ended up leaving the T situation, and I just focused more on doing production and working with this Jam Power Records
Hmm.
until one day uh, I was working at the studio, and a friend of mine was recording a song, and he said, "Man, I have to get a saxophone player." And so he says, "I'm bringing in this guy to play sax." And he brought in Gerald Albright
Oh, yeah,
in
all
the
right.
studio. So, you know, I'm with Gerald and I'm watching him play, and I'm like, man, this dude is crazy. Like, he's so dope. Like, wow. So I remember me and Gerald were talking, and he says, "Yeah, I'm working on an album." And he says, "I'm looking for, some songs or whatever, and looking for talent just to play." So I played him some of my stuff, and he was like, "Man, you got to come over to the house. Like, let's share, let's do some stuff." And ended up doing that. And his manager at the time, Raymond Shields, said, he brought me into the fold and said, "Hey, man, love for you to submit some songs for Gerald's next project to Sylvia Rohn, who was the head of black music at the time at Atlantic Records."
Okay.
So I sent him a tape. At that time, it was cassettes.
Oh yeah,
For all the young people out there, we had cassettes.
no MP3 there.
I gave Ray a tape, and he wanted to know. I forgot on the other side of the tape was a demo of me singing "Don't You Know I Love You." So he put on the tape the wrong side of the tape and played the song. So he called me. It was like, "Man, who's singing this song?" And I was like, oh, I said, well, which song are you talking about? He said it was a song called Don't You Know I Love You. I'm like, no, dude, that's the other side of the cassette. That was don't pay any attention to that. That's just me. I was singing. He goes, man, you should like at least try to pursue a career. And I'm like, oh no, 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 no. I'm not a singer. I'm really not a singer. I said, I can't do it. But what really made it work was the fact that Sylvia came back to me and said, hey,
Oh, did he play for her and they
he played
didn't?
it for Sylvia. Yeah, he played it for Sylvia. And Sylvia
Uh,
wanted to sign me right away. Like, let's do it.
oh, did they call you then to have a meeting or what happened?
Well, yeah, I mean, they called me and said, hey, you want a record deal? Here it is. And I thought at first I was like, no, but then I thought about the opportunity. Not too many people get this opportunity, you know. This is an opportunity of a lifetime.
Did you
So
have a chance to talk to Barry or anyone to say, look what's happened, forget their
no,
faults? Oh, you didn't? Okay.
no. It happened so fast. It was like it was that fast. But I knew that if I didn't take this opportunity, then uh, I would not get the exposure that I needed as a producer, as a writer. Now, here's the crazy part. Um, Sylvia wanted to bring in all these producers to produce my record. And I was like, oh no, we can't do that. It's like I can produce my own record. I've been doing records since '81. Since I was right out of high school. It's like I don't need nobody producing me. But she was very adamant about it. I said, well, who are you going to bring in? I said, if it wasn't going to be Jimmy and Terry, even though I know I could do that with my eyes closed, that sound, that style. But I said, if it's not Jimmy, it's like no, I don't want to. She wanted to bring in all these other producers that I never heard of, or she let me hear their style. I'm like, no, that's not me. That's not my style. My style is just very, I guess, eclectic, if you will. So I told her no, I don't want to do it if I can't produce it. And so I remember she called me one day and she said, do you honestly really think you can produce your own record? And I said with a resound, I said, yes, yes, I can. Give me the chance and I will show you that I am that. Everything that you thought I was, I could be that and then some. I said, but you have to give me that opportunity. And she gave me that opportunity. And the first record I did was Turned Away. That dropped.
Are you kidding?
How
Wow.
about now? How about now? How about now? What you saying now?
You know when you hear about this, because when I spoke with Elder Barge,
Yeah,
he said that when he got signed to Motown solo, they didn't let him write or produce anything,
yeah,
and
yeah.
that broke him. He just felt like he was other people would have him feed him songs, and it wasn't him, and it really had effect on his career. So the fact that
It did.
you stood
I stood my
strong.
ground. Yeah, I
What
stood
made
my
you not be
ground.
afraid of? Because a lot of others would be afraid of. Well, if I could lose everything. But what made it feel that what, if you're not going to give
I
it a
didn't
chance, I'm
care.
going. Uh,
I did not care. It's like if I can't do my own record, then I'm not doing it. That's sometimes you have to put your livelihood and your life on the line, you know? And it's even though I still produced my own record, it still didn't go out the way that I wanted to, certain mixes being on the record and there's just so much political BS within that field. I just it's just so much, man, and I wouldn't wish that on anybody to have to deal with the inside game of it all. It's so much more than just music.
so Timmy
So
Gatto,
much more.
what he said when they did the Kids at Work, him and Teddy when they were young with Chlorel, that they weren't allowed to do the mixing and engineering, and I think some of us will not understand the difference between. Well, if you produced it, what's the difference with somebody else mixing and engineering? Does it change the sound or anything? But for you,
Absolutely.
oh.
Absolutely. Like one of the reasons why I would say that I left my manager at that time when I left Raymond, because it wasn't so much that I felt like I needed to go on my own anyway, because I need to run my own business, run my own, my own situation. But when you get to a point to where you're told, like, okay, I did a mix for Spread My Wings for the album, for Troop's album. And I told my manager, I said, hey, I want my mix to be on this record. And he told me straight up and said, okay, you got it. But when the record came out, it was somebody else's mix, and it was Merlin Bob, who worked at Atlantic Records. It was his mix of the album, which I hated, because sonically, that was not my sound. That was not me. So it was more intangibles involved. It wasn't just about the contract and the money. It's about, if you say you're going to do what you're going to do what you said you're going to do. Prove me wrong. Make sure that my mixes get on that record. But it let me know that there was far more to it involved in what it was, because my mix was not on that record when it came out. After he said, "Oh no, we got you. Your mix is gonna be on this record," and it didn't. That's when I said, "Okay, I got to step," because if you don't have my back like that 100%, because this is my livelihood, this is my sound, this is what is who I am. And if you go against that and just let it ride, and you just make changes and don't tell me and say this is what it is, then you're not for me. You never had my back in the first place. It was all about the money. So,
So,
like I said, this game is a very, very, very tricky game.
but as a fan, we wouldn't know that. But I guess if we don't have the train here,
Doesn't matter.
we won't
Doesn't
understand
matter.
the difference between you said somebody else's mix.
Yeah, doesn't matter. If
What does that
me
mean?
and
Somebody else's mix? Because they're not. Are they changing this? How
somebody else
this?
took my tracks.
Okay.
This guy Merlin Bob took my tracks. He went to an engineer, and he mixed the record accordingly to how he wanted the record to be, as opposed to how I perceived the record. You feel me? So that's a different mix, different EQs, different breaks, different everything.
So it's not
It's a
that.
total different sound.
So the guys aren't re-singing it. The music is the
No,
same. It's just the volumes
same.
of, or maybe the bass
Yes,
is a little bit higher there.
yes, yes,
Okay.
yes. So after I told him, I said, I don't want, I want my mix to be on this record. So when they do stuff like that, that's it's not about you anymore. It's not about you're a peon. You don't have any say so. You don't have any pull. So that's when I pulled the trigger. Say, okay, you're not for me then.
But what's the benefit of somebody else changing what you've done without seeking
There
access?
is well, see,
What benefit? Yeah.
there is no benefit, because a hit record is a hit record. Period. They knew that Spread My Wings was a hit record. This dude just wanted to put his mark on it to say, okay, I'm going to put my stamp on here, because I can be embedded in history to say that, hey, I mixed this for this record on this album. That's it.
Oh.
He wants, people want an easy way to get their, stamp on history.
Oh.
My stamp of history was that's my record. But yet you're going to put your mix on and don't tell me and wait until the record is printed. I'll never forgive that dude for that. And I know you're supposed to forgive and forget. I'll never forget that, ever, ever,
Wow.
because that's me. That's my sound. So when you go against me like that, I cut you. I'm done with you. I'm done.
But how is it possible for them to do that? Does the label not, does
Well,
it,
the
how does it
label,
work? Yeah.
yeah. I mean, Berlin Bob was part of. He was the assistant to Sylvia Rhone, so it's like
Oh, so he
he
could.
took it and said, "Okay, this is okay." Yeah, they did Clark Kent did the remix, which was an amazing remix, which they used for the video for "Spread My Wings," which was great. It was a very street, and I was cool with that. I was so cool with that. But what I told him was, he said they were going to keep the original mix for the album.
Mm.
This is what they told me. I said, we're going to keep your mix for the album. I was like, all right, I'm cool. I'm cool with that. But when the record came out, I was like, the fuck is this? This ain't me. This ain't my mix. Terrible. But
Wow.
since it was such a great record, it still flew over. It still did well, but it wasn't my mix. So I'm still salty about that.
What about Sylvia? What did she say? Did she realize
It
what?
didn't matter. It was too late, but it didn't matter.
Oh no, but then afterward, did she realize how much of a big issue it was, or they,
Doesn't she? No, people in that state, it doesn't matter. It's all business. No, there was no reason for me to say, "Hey, Sylvia, the record, and hey, the Merlin put his mix on." It does. It's already done. So, what rather than me bark about it, I just moved on. It's like, okay, this ain't for me. This particular crew is not for me.
okay,
I'd
okay.
rather have some. I'd rather be around somebody that's say what you're gonna do and you're gonna do it, rather than promise you this. Oh yeah, this gonna happen, and then when stuff pops off, it ain't what it is. Then it's like, okay, this ain't for me.
How did that affect when you did other tracks for others about protecting what? I mean, how did you then ensure that
At
okay?
that particular time, there was nothing you could do about it. But my thing is that same thing. I did a song for Vesta Williams. I did a remake of Outstanding. Same thing. The the guy at the time running the project, he decided he wanted to remix that song,
Remix
and
the
he
own
put his
remix.
twist on it. I told him, dude, take my name off as production because that's not me. That's not my sound. That's not me. Why would just did his thing. So you guys wouldn't have done that to Teddy Riley. You wouldn't have done that to
Yeah,
Babyface. You
yeah.
wouldn't have done that to David Foster. But yet you're gonna do it to me? No, I command a little bit more respect than that. So if you can't rock with me like that, then I don't need you. I'll I can do bad by myself.
Mm,
You're ruining my legacy, my career.
yeah.
I'm not with that. See, that's like I said, a lot of people think it's all because of money why I left. No, it's about the respect. Music was much more important to me at that time than the money. So you put something else out with my name on it, and it's not my work, you got to go.
But the this position you've taken, that says that you're not afraid of walking away from it, which most people are probably not be too afraid to be outspoken. Do you think this was not just your family, but also having a godfather like Barry who's been there, done that, and then
I'm
also
not.
having a passion about what you want to do, that you could be very vocal about protecting your legacy and identity?
I'm not afraid of nothing when it comes to this business. I'm fearless, and that's why I am where I am. I didn't give in to the BS. I didn't give in to it. That's why I walked away from it as an artist. It's like, why do this? Why it's already set in stone. You can only go so far as a black musician or a black artist. The boundaries have already been set, whether you know it or not. You can only get so far. Of course, they let the gatekeepers get through. You have your big black artists, but they're all women, and that's by design. That's by design. It's all by design. You can only go so far. And if people want to, talk about it, who think they know what they're talking about, they can say whatever they want. But I've been in it. I've seen it. I've had the knowledge. I know the knowledge. I know what the game is. I know what's up. It's like, you know, like I said, I'm a thick skin, so you can talk all you want, but I've been in the middle of it. I know what it's about. So I'm fearless when it comes to that.
In the midst of you doing your second album, you is that when you decided to take the the Rhythm Nation tour, or had you completed your second album when that came up?
No, I was actually writing for my second album when I was part of the Rhythm Nation tour.
But then how did you get even? How did that even be a thing that somebody would actually you get invited to be a musical director when you have a successful debut album? You're doing amazing as a producer. Who
I
does
think
you?
it's because I was already at that point. I was already done as an artist
Oh,
because I
after your
was dealing.
first album.
Yeah, because I really didn't want to do my second one, really, because it was just so much BS. It was just so Nnamdi, man. If I could sit here and tell you, and I'm speaking only of my experience as a black artist, as a black musician, as someone who was extremely woke at that time. Uh, there's a lot going on, a lot. I was, you know, I really didn't, and it's not to say that I didn't get the recognition because I did, but the thing was, I really didn't care about that. But when you had like, I had like three number ones at that time, and it was like, okay, I had somewhat of a good run at that point, and then I can't get invited to the Black Men United, you know, scenario. And it's like, wow, you have all these artists here, and I couldn't even get a call to. I wasn't even invited. And then that's when what everything my godfather said at that point kicked in. He says, okay, this is a dog eat dog business. It's very political. It's about who you know. It's about the narrative of the situation. I think out of all the things, that was the one thing that hurt me the most. That I wasn't even invited to something that I really wanted to be a part of. It was the Black Men United situation. Uh,
You know.
Everybody else, even even my friend at the time, even Gerald Levert called me and said, "Man, you ain't part of this. They didn't call you." I was like, "No." He said, "Man, that's messed up, man." He said, "Man, let me see what." I'm like, "No, don't even. G, don't even. It's all good." All my friends, all my peers, they were all invited, but just for some reason, I just was not worthy of that, and that made me change my entire outlook on the business. After that, I'm like, okay, it's even not even about, because people always say, oh, well, it's the white people in the business. It's the black people too.
Oh,
The black people are part of this European system. So in order for them to make it, they got to be like them.
yeah.
They got to act like them. They got to move like them. I don't move like that, but in order to be successful, you got to move like them in order to be successful.
Wow.
So that hurt me. That was the one thing I can say out of this entire business that really affected me because I wanted to be about that. I wanted to show that hey, I am part of a system or of a collective that's really about black people, and I wasn't invited.
Wow. And I think most of us wouldn't have thought, we would have thought that maybe the artists who wrote the songs would call people around, but it seems if labels said, okay, who will volunteer and this person.
Yeah,
Wow. But before that though, because you did because that came out a little bit late in the 90s because you did the
yeah,
Rhythm Nation
yeah. I
tour.
already did. Yeah, I had already did Rhythm Nation. I did.
But why though? I mean, as I said, you've just had a successful debut album, number one
That's
songs,
what.
and then so Janet said,
That's my whole. Yeah,
yeah,
just like I said, it's political. It's about whatever the narrative was for that at the time.
so you just
I
said,
think
okay,
I was just overlooked. Yeah.
you did she approach you to say, can you do to be my music director? No, for
Oh,
Rhythm
talking about with
Nation.
Janet.
Yeah, yeah. I'm
Yeah.
just wondering because most, I mean, for us it was like a shock that actually at the height of your career you would then
Yes.
almost give out a number of some months to be a music director, being that young as well. It was very rare to see a recording artist, um,
Yeah.
a young recording artist become a music director for another artist,
Yeah.
and that did shock. But why did you do it though?
I did it because, like I said, I was ready
To
to
leave.
uh to leave from the exit the whole artistry thing because I had a whiff of it, and I'm like, okay,
You didn't
I
enjoy the
already
success,
knew,
and you didn't
I
enjoy the
already knew,
success.
I already knew what it was about. It's just
Okay.
I was just ready to put my focus on being a musical director because I already went through the BS. I did the second record, but as if you notice, I never toured on the second record. I never did any live anything. By that time, I was done.
Yeah, you had your big global hit games. I mean,
Yeah.
and it's so ironic that you're saying that your songs are gonna blow up like that, and inside you're thinking, "This is it. I'm ready to leave." You people
Oh,
think, "Oh,
yeah. I'm out. I'm out.
Wow. Being that young, did did you open up for Janet then on the Rhythm Nation tour, or were you able to perform? Yes.
No, I performed. I opened up for Janet on the Rhythm Nation tour. I was the opening act for those two. So, but that was my one of my incentives. She invited me to the Rhythm Nation party in LA. So but then mind you, she invited me already premeditating, knowing that I'm going to ask him when he gets here. She already knew.
Oh, but you didn't know that was a
I didn't know.
okay.
She didn't tell me. She didn't tell me that punk. She didn't tell me. She set me up. But I got there. I see Janet. Now, mind you, me and Janet go way back, way
Oh,
before. Like I said, what her best friend at the time was Melody Andrews, who I worked with at the production company. She brought Janet down. Janet was like 14 or 15, something like that.
okay, okay.
Yeah, she was like 14 or 15, but I met her then. And she was cool, mad cool. Janet's super cool. So I already knew her, but I just didn't know if she really knew what my talent was as far as me, doing what I do. I just met her. But apparently, Jimmy told her, like, hey, you need to get this dude now while you can because, you know, and she was like, who, Chuckii? She was like, no, Chuckii. I guess she didn't know. She's like, really? Jimmy was like, yo, you get him now. She was like, I know Chuckii. Yeah. So,
You go to the Rhythm Nation party.
yeah. And we're talking, and I told her congratulations, and congratulations on this project. It's going to be huge. I knew it. I knew it was going to be huge. And she said, "Oh yeah, by the way, so yeah, I was wondering, if you could, be the musical director, for my tour." And I'm like, I turned on like, "What? You talking to me?" Like, yeah, like, yeah, I'm talking to you. I said, "Okay." I said,
Wow.
"All right." I said, "Under one condition." And she's like, "What's that?" And I said, "Well, let me be the opening act since I got a number one. I got a number one on Troop. I'm popping right now. So I said, and we could cut the cost. I said, in other words, if you were to bring somebody else in, you would have to bring in their band, all their expenses. I said, we could have one band, two artists. And she really jumped at that. She was like, oh, yeah. Like, yeah. She was like, yeah, that'll work. That'll work.
Wow. Wow. So you didn't even think twice. You just
Nah, fearless. That's their fearless side. I didn't care.
what did the
She could
label
have easily
say?
said no.
The label did what did they say? Did they not say, "Hey, what you've got a big album, you need a second album. How can you just go?" Or did they see it as
I,
a good
I told her, I
opportunity?
said, I told her, I said, while I'm out on the road, I'll write for my second record.
Okay,
So by the time I get off, I can cut the record.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, there are very few tours that will go down in history as, we think of Michael's Bad, we think about, the Victory Tour,
Yep.
and even Beyonce's has a Resonance Tour, but the
Yeah.
Rhythm Nations Tour at the time became known as almost like a social justice tour. Not only was it Janet sort of, I think that actually the album and tour really had an impact on Michael chasing the sound later on, but
Everybody.
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 But to be on that tour, did you think and know at that time that it would have the global impact that it did have, um, by listening to the
I did.
record and thinking about?
I knew it right away. As soon as I heard the record and just the concept behind the record, I knew right away. I knew immediately that this tour is going to be crazy. That's why I jumped on it and said, hey, can I just be, I'll sweep the broom or just let me be opening act just so I can get some kind of exposure. And she was with it. That's why I will love Janet to this day. Always, I will never cross her wrong. I will never ever dog her out. Never, ever, ever, ever. Because she gave me that opportunity. I will always have Janet's back. Always.
Wow,
Yeah.
wow. I mean,
Yeah.
it must have been. I've spoken to DOA about his audition, but how hard was it? Because at this time you've got a lot of friends who are musicians. You're from, LA, the guys from the Bay Area. How hard was it to have a worldwide casting call for musicians and at this young age having to be part
Whew,
of selecting and not disappointing friends and, and burning
very
bridges?
difficult, very difficult, extremely difficult. That was one of the worst, most difficult things I could deal with is being a musician and you have lots of friends and they all call, hey man, can I get an audition? Can I get this? And it was tough. It was hard. It was very hard. Very hard.
What did you do to make sure that whoever gets picked? Um, Can I listen to Ray Parker Jr. talk about when he was playing for Stevie and he wanted to go solo, but he recommended um, people to Stevie, but he told Stevie to audition so that Stevie makes the decision, not him. But what did you do to make sure that when you're not going to be the guy that said, "Yeah, I'm going to get my friend DOA on this," and then other bass players who you're close would think, "Oh." Because DOA did tell me that he had some. There's a guy
Yeah,
who fell out with him thinking that you did that.
yeah, unfortunate. And that person is a good friend of mine, and it just didn't work out. Hold on. Well, someone's at the door. Hold on,
Okay,
dude.
so
Hold on. I'm in my hotel room. Hold on. Brought my bags up. So
okay. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you're in the midst of having to, DOA did tell me about how tough it was for him got to get the game, but somebody else thinking that you picked him over.
yeah, yeah, it's hard, man. Yeah, that's tough, man. For me because that other person, Cornelius Mims, great bass player, and to be honest with you, we actually like we had a couple of rehearsals, with our my core, the guys that who I really wanted to be a part of the band. But at the end of the day, it's not my band. So, and I told this to every musician who auditioned. At the end of the day, this is Janet's band. Janet has to make the final decision. It's not on me. It's not my band. But yeah, it is your band. Yeah, it is my band, but this is the artist. It's their band at the ultimately at the end. So, there's only so much I can do. If Janet says, "Hey, I want this guy," then this is who I want. What am I supposed to do? Go back just say, well, if I can't have my guy, I'm quitting.
Yeah.
It's like, you know, and so it just so happens that you have two great bass players, Corny and DOA. Now, I will say this. If Janet would have picked Corny, I would have been mad. You know what I'm saying? Because that was my boy. Well, I played together with him with Tease. We did all the
Oh,
Tease
he was with.
records and stuff. He
Oh,
was
so
part.
you know.
Cornelius was a part of Tease. Yes.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's my. You know what I'm saying? That's my guy. You know, I wouldn't have been mad either way. So for me, it was nothing for me. It was. How can I say it? No. Well, for the style. Let me just say this: for the style of music that we were doing at that time, with the Minneapolis and the Janet sound, you
Yeah.
know, D is like, first of all, Corny is a great bass player. I mean, amazing. We grew up together.
Oh, no. Okay. Yeah.
D DOA is a phenomenal bass player, and just it's just so hard, man, because and then on top of D is my boy, so that makes it, that's my guy. So he played on all of my records, and you know,
Oh,
D D played on my right after I want to say my first album came out when it went number one. I did a lot of remixes. I did a show for Atlantic Records or WIA prior to me meeting DOA. He was playing with Karen White, and we did a show. Karen and
Oh, you're both from Warner
myself
Brothers. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
for Warner
Warner
Brothers.
family. Yeah, Warner family. Yeah,
And that's where I first met DOA. When I heard him play, I was like, oh,
yeah.
this dude right here. Oh, whew, well, my goodness. He was like the style that I was like, wow, this dude is unbelievable. For what for what I do, uh, it was unbelievable. So at that time, I was doing remixes for my singles. My third single was "That's My Honey," and I was doing some remixes. And after I met D, I called D and I said, "Yo, you got to come out here to LA and do these remixes with me." Now, how I used to do remixes was very crazy because I would run the tracks, only the drums and vocals, but then we would live play the bass, guitar, key parts
Wow.
while the tracks are going. That's how I used to do it. Mess ups and everything. Just play it. Let's just go and just whatever it is. That's how I did the "That's My Honey" remix. It was me. It was just me and DOA.
Wow.
We did all that stuff. I would switch up. I play keys. He would play some, he would play the bass parts. He would do some key parts. I would do some keyboard parts. And I would switch up and then play some guitar parts. So we would play guitar. He would play bass while the tracks are running, just going straight to two track. So
Wow.
so we did that, but actually before we did the tour. So I was already fully aware of what he could do and how he could do it. So, at that point, like I said, if Janet was to pick Corny, I wouldn't be mad. If Janet was to pick D, I wouldn't be mad. Either way.
Okay. Okay. Because he talked about his he changed he did some quartet sound that was
Oh,
different
he did.
from
Yeah,
when
he did
everything
this
else.
drive. Oh man, I lost my mind when he
Oh,
did
so he
that.
surprised you. You didn't expect him to do that.
No, no. I mean, when he went to that drive, I was screaming like, "Oh my God!" And then I'm looking up because Janet is up in she's up in the balcony section watching the band. I could see she was like, she's cheesing like a rat. And like, he just cheesing. So I'm like, okay, you know.
Uh,
So that's what she at the end of the day, you know, she picked Derek. She
wow.
said,
Okay.
I'm picking DOA. And of course, I was excited,
Yeah,
because
because you just
yeah,
been.
that's my boy. That's my boy too. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's my dude. So I was super excited. Super excited.
Yeah. It was.
And
It is.
one thing led to yeah. So yeah, me and Corny, we fell out about that for years. We didn't speak for years
Wow.
because he thought it was my decision to say, oh, I'm going with, and it wasn't. At the end of the day, it was Janet. And I'm sure she had her, reservations as to why she picked him. It could be a lot of things. It wasn't just the musicianship. It could have been, it could have been an image thing. It could have been a lot of things. Who knows?
Mm.
But that's Janet's mind. That's where she was at the time. You know, D was running around playing the bass and, jumping on stuff. And, he's very active, and maybe it was because of that. Maybe that's what Janet like. Who knows?
Yeah.
I don't know. I
Yeah.
wasn't there when she made the decision. She called me and said, "Hey, I'm rolling with D." I'm like, "Okay."
Yeah.
Again, what was I supposed to say? Oh yeah, Janet. I don't think I can do the tour because
Oh, but see, had he done because he's done if he's done Karen White's Secret Rendezvous, then he must have done the Bobby. So he must have
well,
done
he did that after the fact. I think. I go. Wait
okay.
a minute. Did he work with Bobby
No, but
after?
not. But he was on the tour with Karen with Bobby.
Right, but I don't. But he wasn't working with Bobby then.
No,
He
not
was.
with not working with Bobby. But I'm just saying
He
because
was.
that Don't Be Cruel tour was they went it was a
Oh
massive
yeah,
tour.
yeah, yeah,
So
yeah,
he
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and he yeah. So but Karen. I mean, oh goodness, I've Karen. I look at Karen. I see Tina Turner type of. People talk about
Let me
how
tell you
Beyonce is.
something. Karen is a goddess.
Yeah.
Karen is a straight goddess. I don't know if she's mad at me or she like me anymore. I don't know. That's my cuz, but I still love her to death.
Oh,
She's still mad at me. I don't know. But she's a goddess. Karen is amazing. That's my cuz, but she is
oh, you're
yeah,
both from
she's
LA as
amazing.
well. Did you know growing?
No, 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 no,
Oh, you
no,
didn't
no,
know in LA back
no,
in
no,
those days? No,
no, no.
okay.
This is
Okay.
way, way, yeah, this is way, 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 yeah,
Okay.
yeah. But that's my people though.
Yeah.
We gonna chop it up one day.
Okay, she no, she okay. She has a lot. She shows still when I mention you, she still shows a lot of love between
Oh
you
no,
guys and
no,
stuff.
no,
Yeah,
of course,
yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, of
yeah.
course. But I've heard a couple of like, interviews where she said, "Yeah, he stole my man." I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't
Um,
steal your man.
no, 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 no.
Karen's
Yeah,
funny.
I did. Yeah, no, no. Yeah, no.
Oh yeah,
Okay. Yeah.
that's still my girl though.
Oh,
She's still my goddess, but yeah, I think she might be a little twisty at me. I don't know.
oh,
I'll
no, but
find out.
yeah, okay, but no, but that's. I mean, okay, so I can see. Written Nation Tour got a lot of press, just because of the social impacts and people's talking about how it was transformed. Being on the tour, could you feel the impact, or were you just focused on the music? Could you feel like, wow, people are receiving the tour differently, and what
Oh
impact
yeah,
does it have for on you as a musician,
yeah,
knowing that what we're doing is more than just playing music? It seems that we're impacting lives.
yes. That was the whole point. That was the whole point of that tour, and Janet was with it. I mean, she was like, I mean, just knee deep in the whole scenario of what that tour was about. She was about it. You know what I'm saying? She carried it well, and that was the point she wanted to get across, and she got across that so well. I mean, it was received so well. I would have to say that Rhythm Nation album, that 1814 record, to me is one of the dopest, one of the funkiest records to have a deep message behind it.
Mm.
Because during that time, it's like you can't do message music and then people are dancing to it. It's like, oh, they talking about, or you could just have a straight, just raw sex record, just dancing and the record goes well. But you to put those two together
Yeah,
to make it work,
yeah.
that's a task, bro.
So that's hip hop
That
was doing those kind of
that does
message,
not
but
happen.
no, no, with R&B and pop and that type
That
of
does
stuff.
not happen. That does not happen. That record transcends any record I've seen in the last 50 years that has to do with dealing with social issues
Mm,
and having great music behind it.
yeah.
Jimmy's Terry, they monsters for that, dude. They monsters for that.
You were writing your second album while on tour. How did you have time to headspace to be able to think about what you wanted to put in the album?
I mean, I've already had ideas of what I wanted to do, but I'm the type of musician and producer that I really don't uh, prepare everything before I go. I just go in and just go with whatever I'm feeling at that time, and I'll just cut it and just do it. You know, I might go in cutting one record, like start, and then all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I scratch this. I got something else in my head. And I'll change completely and just cut a whole nother idea, just what's in my head. That's just how I roll. A lot of people, like I said, I really didn't get a lot of placements for records back then with other artists, mainly because the the people at the record company, they want you to already have the record done and turn it in. I'm a vibe type
Oh,
producer.
you
I'm a
need to be
vibe.
with them and
I'm an energy type. Yeah, give me that artist and let me just stay in the studio for a couple of hours. Let me gel and vibe with that artist electrically,
mm,
get that energy from them, and then it's all magic after that.
uh,
But a lot of record companies didn't want to suit that type of feel. They didn't want to do that. It's like, no, send me the record. So now I got to think about what this person might sing and what they might do.
uh,
Then I have to get somebody. Then I have to get somebody to come in to sing the demo.
uh.
Then I got to record that. Then send the song in. I'm like, forget all that. Just give me the artist. Let me just sit in with a piano with them, or let me sit with them with a guitar, just for a couple of hours, and let me vibe with them. You know,
uh,
but that wasn't in the budget. So
what,
and I refuse to work like that. If I'm going to work with somebody, I want to get to know that person, differently, from a musical standpoint, even before I even begin to start writing or working with that artist.
but what about Spread My Wings? Did you spend time with the guys before?
No, well, no, yeah, I did because I worked on the first album with them, so I already knew them.
Okay.
Yeah, I worked with them on their very first record. I did a song called My Heart on their first record, and I did another one
Okay.
called She's My Favorite Girl. Those are the only two songs I did on the record, on their first record. So I
Okay.
already knew what they were about, you know. And working with Steve, I already knew because Steve came on to my house every day and worked with me in the studio. That's my little bro. I love that dude, man. He was like he reminded me of myself growing up, just being a
Oh,
sponge and just kind of
oh,
watching everything that you do. That's the
yeah.
type of person Steve was. Steve was, I do stuff in the studio or I do something, and he'd be like behind me, and I just hear him. He'd go, Ugh, like, Ugh, yeah, oh, okay. He's saying that to himself as he's checking out what I'm doing. He's like, oh, okay, I see what he's doing. Okay, let me write that in my mental,
Uh,
block. So Steve, that's why I had Steve around me so much because he reminded me of myself. You know,
wow.
he was the one that really wanted to see how records were made and how they were done and how, things would, how they just gelled. He seen me pick up all these instruments and play and how I, stack musical instruments on top of drum beats and stuff. He seen me. He was there. He actually experienced it. So that really motivated him,
Oh,
to want to do it
okay.
myself.
And they're from Pasadena. So, but you didn't know them. I mean, you kind of LA's big.
No, no,
So,
I didn't know them prior to that.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know them, but it was Sylvia is the one that actually signed them, and she's the one who told me, "Hey, I have this group I want you to work with." So I said,
Okay.
"Okay." She said they're from
Yeah.
Pasadena, so that wasn't far from where I live.
Yeah, 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 yeah.
So yeah, I go pick up Steve. I used to pick him up from school, and I remember all of that. And he would just say, "Hey man, play that record that you did, so," and then I would just play it over, and he would just sit there, and he would just listen, and he was like, "Man, how did you get the blend? Boy, how did you know? How did you pan your background vocals? How many vocals did you use on?" I mean, he was just really,
Voila.
he really wanted to know. And me being the person that I am, I'm like, sure. I said, when we get to the house, I'll show you how I did it. Just showing him, and he was just like, "Wow, it's cool." He just picked it up. You know,
So, for the I was in Nigeria when Troop came out, and I used to think that these were dancers because breaking had come out, and so break dance and dances were big. We used to think that they were dancers who could sing, as opposed to that's how good we rated their dancing. We didn't realize.
right?
I mean, can you think about people thinking, "Oh, these are dancers who know how to sing," as opposed to these are singers who can dance? That's
Dance,
how
yeah.
much we just. And then I've spoken to a lot of people who just said how even DOA said that they on tour that they were really hard workers. Just what was it like just recording with them and then singing?
Super hard workers. Them boys put in work. I'm sorry. I've worked with New Edition. I've worked with a lot of acts. I've worked with a lot of groups. Troop, to me, put in the most work and never really got the recognition that they deserved because they put in a lot of work. I seen it, hands down. And I'm not even talking about the dancing. I'm talking about being in the studio and sing this part, do this part. They were all on one accord in that sense. They were all about it. They were about it. Like, Chuckii, what can we do? Or John used to come to me and say, "Well, Chuck, we kind of already working out choreography, but you have me singing this part, and I won't be able to do this." And I'm like, "Okay, cool. You know what? Let me change that a little so you can do your thing here.
Wow,
We'll put
only
a
thinking ahead.
yeah, we'll put a ooh and a ah after the fact, because he said we want to do something right here. Is that okay with you? Is that something you can work with?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure,
Wow.
yeah." That's how dedicated they were. People don't give them enough credit. Troop is some bad boys. Of
Yeah.
course, New Edition gets all the recognition. Every year it's New Edition. Every year it's New Edition. It's New Edition. It's New Edition. I get it. I get it. However, Troop is right there with him when I'm talking about performing, singing, doing the whole. dancing, man. Come on, man.
Yeah.
And New Edition is my boys. Those are my guys.
Did you do anything with them?
I was their musical director for their Home Again tour.
Oh,
I did that. I put that entire show together. You know, the tour where Bobby came out there with a fire hose. It was shit. Me and D was there for all of that.
okay, I saw when you guys came to Milwaukee back in '98. So, and then with
See, I
Blackstreet.
wasn't, yeah, I wasn't there then. I did the tour in 95, 95, yeah.
Oh no,
The Home Again tour went for a while. I don't know how long it went, but I
no,
was
no.
with,
The Home Again is it? The Home Again tour came out. The album came out in '96, and they did the tour '97.
okay. So yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, right. I'm sorry. I did TLC in 95. I did TLC in 90, yeah, 95. And yes, Home Again was 96. You're right. I stand corrected. Yes, it was 96. Yes.
So you started you put the stuff together and started off with them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. And that was all uh Ralph, JG. They called me and said, "Hey man, since you pretty much worked with I had already worked with Johnny. Uh I didn't the only person I really didn't work with was Bob and and BBD. So but everyone else I worked with, so they felt like, Chuckii would be the best guy to come in here to put the show together because he worked with the majority of the guys. But that tour was fire. That
Yeah.
tour was crazy,
Yeah.
crazy dope.
Yeah.
Wild, crazy tour, but it was cool.
No,
It was
it's
cool.
it's my favorite tour I've ever been to. Not because I mean I was a big 702 Open. I was a big Teddy and Blackstreet fan, but
Yes.
to see to see Bobby come and do his thing, Johnny do his
Yes.
stuff, and Ralph do,
Yeah.
then
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
BBD,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
all of them, and it was like they could have just done that tour on their own. They didn't
Yeah.
need anyone else. But that yeah
No. Because we had a couple of different lineups, but I think for one of the lineups the one that was really fire was it was Keith Sweat,
yeah Keith Sweat,
Teddy,
yeah Keith,
yeah,
Keith fit
Keith
in, yeah
Sweat, Queen Pen, Queen
yeah
Pen
yeah.
actually, yeah, and it was 702. I don't know if
702,
it was,
702, 702 open up. They were kids. I
yeah,
spoke,
it
yeah,
was
702, yeah,
702.
702, Keith Sweat,
It was
yeah.
like 702,
Keith
uh,
Sweat,
Keith Sweat,
Blackstreet,
and
and
then
then New Edition.
yeah, yeah, that was it. That was the tour, man. And Queen Pen came in, she rocked it. She rocked it.
Wow.
Yeah, she rocked it. Yeah.
Yeah. Wow.
So that was
Yeah,
96.
yeah. But for you, so I mean, I guess just jumping slightly. So after you do River Nation, you come out with your second album. Games does well. Did that surprise you how well it went and how? And because it was a slower jam, it wasn't like an
Yeah. I was a little surprised only because, well, I was surprised from a musical standpoint, from a musician standpoint, because there's only two chords in this entire song. And for me, that's just like, we got to put a bridge in, or it was a groove. That's all it was, just two chords. Da, 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 boom, da, da, da. That's it. So for me, that's like, man, that's really scaling it down. But it also let me know that majority of people just have a common ear. They're not really into all the crazy changes, and you know. So once again, that made me realize, that hey, music is, if you want to be popular in that sense, you have to really keep it simple
Yeah.
so
But
people can really understand what you're doing.
but when that song and the album was taken off, you still hadn't made your mind. This is it, no more. No matter how successful this was, or were you still like, well, let me
No, I
see.
was done by then. After I cut the record, I already knew.
The
I'm
label
not.
didn't know, did they?
No, they knew.
Oh, they knew that. Oh, they knew
Yeah,
that
they
you
knew.
weren't going to do anything else, and
Yeah, not. I wasn't going to do anything as an artist under the currently constructed contract that I was under.
there was two album deals. So
Yeah.
okay.
Well, technically, it was a 3 album deal, but the third one I think was just my option whether or not. But I already knew I wasn't gonna. No, not the way the contractual situation was constructed at that time. But by that time, they, you know, they got whatever they got out of me. They you know, it wasn't I wasn't needed anymore after that point.
Wow.
They made their money and it's time to move on to the next victim. That's how it is.
Yeah, yeah,
That's what the music business is. Once you find out exactly how it's run, they don't want you no more.
yeah, yeah.
That is the epitome of what the music business is about.
Yeah, I mean, speaking to Shanice, she said one of the things that hampered her career was because her mum and the family knew a lot about the business. They started to
And
say, "Well, we're not going to make much."
Shawnee's
Yeah,
Shawnee's is a sweetheart. She is. That's one of my favorite people. And we don't really hang out or talk a lot, but when we do, because we have history, me and Shawnee's, even back, I was trying to, work on it. I wanted to send her some songs. And at the time when she was with A&M Records, when Brian Loren was doing her, her first album, which was a monster album.
yeah.
Oh my God, that first record was a monster. That record should have blew out the roof.
Mm.
But again, so many, you can only do so much in this business. The industry will only allow you and allow so many different artists to get through. Everybody can't be on top. You know that song Prince had called Pop Life, where everybody can't be on top? Really listen to those lyrics of that song. And that's basically what the music business is about.
Wow.
That's why he wrote about that. You could be as talented as you want. You could have all the talent you want in the world. But if the powers that be say, hey, you don't fit our agenda, you don't fit what it is that we need for this to work and for you to be famous, it's not going to work. They'll put a boundary, a limit on you. And see, I knew this. I knew all this even before I started, which is why it was so easy for me to step out because I already knew what time it was. Just by the way, they responded to me, I already knew.
See,
So it
when
was easy
Prince
for
was
me.
saying a lot of this stuff, we were like, "What's he doing? Make music." We couldn't really understand when he's putting slave and he's talking about artists need, and we were like, "What's he talking about? That it's a game. We're not going to win if we don't come together." And I was like, "What?" Most people are like, what are you talking about, man? You're
Dude,
Prince." Uh,
it's crazy.
wow.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So step.
There's so much to this game that you just have no idea what's going on. One day we can sit and just talk and I can
Yeah,
tell you, but
I know.
it's like
But
business is crazy.
did you see the because right now people don't know that you're currently in Europe, in Vienna with Lionel Richie supporting
Yeah.
you've been his music director. You've been all over the UK, and I'm sure are you going to be part of the Earth, Wind and Fire Lionel Richie?
Yes.
Okay, because there's
I
been
didn't think about it. Like, wait a minute.
yeah,
Wait a minute. Oh yes. Yeah,
okay, because it's going to be a massive tour. I mean, the
it
two
is.
legendary acts performing and touring. But do you think the decision you made to accept the Janet Jackson offer really helped you take this position where actually, you know what, you have a very, you're almost at the outside looking in from the music business side. You're working, you're playing music, you're part of it, but you don't have to deal with label politics as most people might have.
Yeah. I mean, again, like I said, I knew exactly what I was supposed to do. I knew back then that I was only going to go so far. I already knew that. Was not going to give in to the politics and the crazy weirdo stuff in Hollywood. I wasn't going to do that. My background was, I was just implanted too much into my foundation of what my family was about to even think about doing any of that crazy nonsense. Because people talk about it, but when you are a part of the industry and you see it with your own eyes, it takes a lot to deal with it, especially when you're knowing that you're not like that or a part of it. You have to work 3 times as hard to just even get noticed a little. It's
Wow.
hard. It's in some cases 10 times as hard. But then at that point, it's like, is it really worth it?
Yeah. but you were getting. I mean, you said you did TLC, you did New Edition, Lionel Richie's. Did that those doors start to open a lot wider when you walked away from the recording side? Did those doors come up and people saying, were you getting a lot of opportunities more so to be invited as the music director?
Oh yes, I mean I've gotten a lot of calls
Because they're getting a
that
recording
call
artist
you.
producer in his prime. That's very rare because most of music directors, they're vets,
Yeah,
and they would think
yeah,
that it'd be they as much as they're safe pair of hands, but to be more expansive and really change things up, you're probably the ideal type of getting a producer and musician on it as your music director is probably one of the best kind of opportunities. So people must have been like, "Oh, he's available! Wow."
yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, Lionel kind of makes that hard for everybody else because he's like, okay, I got Chuckii here. I'm gonna make sure that when I need him, I can get him. So
Okay.
he knows that. So
Oh
he makes
goodness.
it difficult for everybody else. You know.
So after Janet's tour and you did the games and the album, who was the first person that when you walked away?
The first person I worked with when I walked away from the games thing, well, that was '92. That it would be Tevin Campbell. I was his musical director.
So
I
when he
worked with
did
Tevin Campbell.
when he was promoting "I'm Ready, Can We Talk"?
Yes, all of that. Yes, yes. I put that tour together. He opened up for Boys to Men.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So were you the whole tour just for his sets that you?
No, for the whole tour. I mean for his set only.
Okay.
Yeah. His mom was really cool. She gave me free reign to just really work with him and get him in the show form and I did that. And then the crazy part was Kipper, who was the lead singer for the band Tease that I was in, he was singing background with Babyface, because which was the second act to go on, which was really crazy. So it was Tevin Campbell first, Babyface, who was he rocked that tour, man. He was killing it, man.
Wow.
Kipper was singing background for, and then it was Boyz II Men. That was
Wow.
the tour. It was great tour.
Well, that does sound big. I mean, but then there's no part of you thinking, oh, you didn't promote games, or you didn't go on tour with that for that.
I was gone by then. I was like, I'm out.
Wow. So, and I've seen you've done other things, but right now there's been a big revival for '90s and '80s acts
Yeah.
going on tour. You started something called University. Can you tell us
Yes.
what? Because most people still think, oh, Chuckii, let's have him play Turn Around, Turn Away, and all this stuff. But instead, it's almost like you listen, you go. It feels very funk, sort of Parliament type of stuff. So, why did you decide to go away from the sounds that we knew and bought from you to a different type?
Just being a musician, it's like I just like to try different things, and you know, I just wanted to be different. I didn't want to keep doing the rehashing the same sound over and over and over again, even though that is a known formula that works for you. But just for me, I'm just different like that. I'm just different. I didn't want to do the same thing over and over again. The same chords with different artists over and over and over again. It's like that was not my mentality at the time. I wanted to test myself, and just try different things.
So how did you? What did you do when you were trying to come up with university? You just How did you just get the group together? The
It
first sort of.
will. It was basically. I mean, the group was already together. It was like because we did the Janet tour together,
Oh, so it was
so it's the
okay.
same band. Yeah, it's the same band. I just said, hey, let's take what we got here. We got University actually a deal uh, with Atlantic Records. We cut like 14 songs, but again, it was the whole thing with the contractually the guys, and I was agreeing with them. It didn't work out because again, the manager wanted to control the budget, go through Atlantic Records, that whole spiel thing about, well, this is a start, this is how you get in. No, man, no, no, no. So it just, it just didn't work out, and it never came out. Never came out. The guys they really didn't get paid like they should have. But of course, all that money for the budget and everything went to the production company, of course, and they kept all that money. Of course, that was just the design of how business was being ran back then. I couldn't get the deal I could have tried to go to another record company and say, hey, we got our own production deal, but it never would have worked because we didn't have the direct connection at that time with the record companies such as the manager did at the time. So,
but even with your successes,
and I'm not, and like I said, I'm not dogging him. I'm not dogging the manager saying, "Oh man, he did us wrong." That was the business practice of it, and I started to learn more about how that deal went by, and my whole thing is like, man, if you were to teach me how it goes down, I would still be your manager to this day, and everything I would have made, you could have gotten 15% of everything I made up until 2023. But yet, no, it's like, no, we're going to do it the way I'm going to do it. I'm going to get all the money that I can and basically F you, and you just, whatever you learn, you learn. That's not how, I don't do business like that.
But unfortunately, every 90% of the people I've spoken to, that was how they had to learn the hard way.
That's how you have that's the way you learn.
But why though? I mean, why should you?
Because it's not, like I said, it's a European vision of how you do business. It's a Eurocentric form of entertainment industry building. That's what it is. That's because that's where it came from. Not to say it's a bad thing or a good thing. That's just the way it is. But and it didn't matter if you were white or black. In order to be a part of that industry, you have to follow this engine. So, but the way I saw it was, hey, you teach me how to eat and how to make this happen. The other deals that I get, I will get you a part of that. And you'll get your 15%, but teach me how to do it morally, ethically. Yeah. Don't do it the way where you just straight reaming me. You know what I'm saying? That's not, come on, man. And that's why us as black people can't get ahead.
Yeah.
Because the people who are in the game that are black are following that same engine that the white people are doing, that they're getting over on you. Mm-hmm. So, again, like I said, I don't have no ill will towards Raymond Shields, the manager. It's just that you followed a specific design and how you do it. I heard that he said, oh, well, this is the way that he took it. He could have took that contract to the manager or took it to an attorney and he got everything right. But what they don't tell you is the fact that, dude, the attorney that you signed me to, you're connected to him. That's a conflict of interest.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's all bullshit.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
No, it's true.
Trying to make it seem like, oh, I didn't do anything wrong. Of course you did.
Yeah.
Don't make it seem like it's all my fault. I'm a young kid coming up. You're supposed to do right by me by teaching me how to do it the right way. So when I make other deals that happen, you can be a part of that and you can get your 10, 15, 20% up until now. But no, you chose to do it that way, to do it the way that you wanted to. Don't sit here and make it like it's all my fault because I'm 24, 23, 24, 25.
Yeah.
FOH, man.
But if you were a baseball player or football player, they seem to get all their money up front. They take care of them. They don't. They
that's
realize
that's a totally different industry.
Yeah, but as I said, it's talent.
Totally different industry.
Their talent, your talent, musicians are talent. Actors, they seem to, once they get in, they get their contracts. Like they see how valuable are they can. But
totally different, man. It was a total different engine back then, a monster back then, like it is now. It is. It's totally different. It's totally different. Totally different, man. But again, like I said, it's a learning experience for me with dealing with, those people back then. It was just a learning experience. But the fact is, it's just that you had to learn that way.
Yeah.
where you have to lose a lot of money and where you have to lose integrity, where you have to lose uh, respect for people. I shouldn't have to. I shouldn't have to like turn into an attorney. I shouldn't have to be this. You should be willing to just say, "Hey, man, this is what the real game is."
Yeah.
That's how my godfather. That's why I allowed that to happen because dealing with my godfather, he kept it 100, man. He said, "This is what the real game is." In certain areas of this. But as I got into it, the game had changed a little. So
Mm.
I'm going with somebody that's okay. He's obviously, he knows what's up. He's telling me this is what it's about. This is what it's like. It's not like I have a production company, but then my production company is signed to his production company, who actually has the deal to the label.
Yeah, yeah. So
That's
they
how
get
they did it back then. So
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you know
yeah,
what I'm
yeah.
saying?
So yeah, so what happens is
So after
the
the first
label will
album,
give
I was already like, okay, all right, I
uh
see what's up.
okay. So
But it
the
shouldn't even
label,
have to get, what I'm saying? It shouldn't even have to
yeah.
get to that, man. It shouldn't even have to. I learned quickly. So I'm like, okay. And then, of course, I go and I meet with the attorney and he's like, well, hey, man, this is what it's like. And, you have to do this. It's like you tied in with him.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
You know what
yeah.
I'm saying? It was all a game, man. And that's all this industry is a game. It's a
Yeah.
game.
Yeah.
It's a game. And the way you play it is what, will dictate how you survive in this business.
Yeah.
So I decided to step away from that. And that part of it, I'm gonna do it a little bit differently. I'm gonna say I'm gonna just run everything on my own, deal with people, and I've been very cool. I've been good doing it the way that I'm doing it now. Has been very cool for me.
Yeah.
I don't have to deal with people trying to shiest you and get over on you.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah.
don't give you, because it's your talents that they're making the money off of, but they're making a majority of the money. It's like,
Yeah.
dude,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
not cool. That's not right.
Yeah.
But that's how it's set up. So to
Yeah.
them, it's like, well, hey, this is what the engine is. So, I didn't do anything wrong.
Yeah, because yeah, it's that's how everyone
So,
else is doing it. You,
yeah, yeah,
before
man.
before we leave on this, the what was it like seeing your uncle Godfather have the success of practice what you preach when he came out with that album? I don't even
Oh, it
know
was
the
great.
album
I was so happy for him.
because that became more. I
I
mean,
was
I
happy
love
for
the.
him.
I bought the album. It was almost like telling who did he get to produce it because it felt more like accessible. So he almost changed for the time and made a more accessible record.
Well, a lot of that has to do with, he co-wrote that with Gerald Levert.
Oh,
Gerald is the one that gave him you know, hey, Barry, let's put a little bit of this to make it a little modern here, or let's just
yeah,
change
yeah,
a little
yeah,
bit of
yeah,
things
yeah,
here.
yeah.
That was G, man.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay. I love
Gerald
that. So
Levert.
yeah, practice. Did you get involved on that album?
Not on that particular album, I didn't, but in one after that, I did. Because at
Okay.
that time, who was I? I was so busy, man. I forgot who I was working with at that time. But no, that was a great record, though. That
Yeah,
was a great record. That worked for him.
yeah. No, no, dedicated. Reintroduced him to
It did.
a new generation,
It did.
and opened doors. He got lots of airplay and
It
everything.
did. Yeah.
Sadly, how hard was it his passing on you?
Man, I just recently uh, taped a show for Unsung
Oh,
recently, and it's going to be coming out pretty soon. I would say hopefully within the next month or so. But they asked me that, the guy Isaac had asked me that how hard, and then we had to stop for a minute because it took me back to when it really happened, and it was very hard for me to the point to where I didn't really let anybody know how much it really affected me. But I was out. I was taking. It took me out for almost like 2 years.
wow.
Yeah, I was really hurt, man. Like very, very hurt. Like it took me out. A lot of people didn't know it. I was low key mental breakdown, man. Because that was my guy. That was my guy.
But
So it was really hard on me.
what did you do? Because I mean, how did you get yourself? Because as black people, one of the things we don't do is talk, especially black
Yeah,
men.
I
Uh,
know.
how did you just think I'll just keep it to myself and just
I did. I just kept it to myself. When in reality, maybe I should have went, got some help to deal with it, but I didn't because I felt I was strong enough to deal with it. And I felt like I did. But now that I look back at it, I was like, maybe I should have talked to somebody, you know, because that was like very difficult for me. Still difficult, but I managed.
yeah.
But he was such a great, just a great figure for me, as a person. And the things, all the conversations that we've had outside of music, the knowledge that he had about the business, the knowledge that he has about astrology and life, and just you have no idea what this man, what he possessed, and the power that he had. And he instilled a lot of that within me. Um, and it just made me a different person, you know.
Wow.
The music was actually the small part of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But about life, about people, and about life existence, energy, uh, those things is what he really like got me over on, and really taught me and about people, uh, how to read people, you know. And again, like I said, I'm not. Oh, what the lights go out? Lights just went out. I'm like, what happened?
Yeah.
What the? Wait a minute. Why the lights go out?
Yeah, I just
They just went out. Yeah, but it's like I said, I was saying, I nobody is perfect, and I get that. Nnamdi, nobody is perfect. You can't be the perfect individual. And he really, he by far he wasn't perfect either, but it's just the information and the knowledge that he instilled within me was just more than has kept me afloat in this business, still here today.
Yeah.
And I thank him for that and his energy for that. Because if he didn't, man, knowing the way I was back then, I probably would have flown to New York and just want to beat somebody up, or something stupid like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Just because I didn't get my way, so now I'm gonna force my will to be. So hey, man, you didn't do what you said you was gonna do, or you did. Who knows, man?
Yeah.
I was, I was just a different person back then than I am now. Totally different person. Uh, for me, I think for me it was all about the music back then, just music only. But now I look at it as it's all about the people
Mhm.
and the music. So I pay attention now more to what people's energy and what their waves are when they're around me. I zone in on that more than anything, and that to me is more important, than the music, because the music is spiritual.
Yeah.
The music business is not.
Well, some would say it is, but not the good side.
You're right. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's my, it's so you have to balance, between those two. It's really crazy.
Yeah. But
It's really good.
for those of us who look at Barry outside, his deep voice, his big stature, he can seem very intimidating. But he gives you a nickel, is it chuckles, and he gives you a
It's funny.
and it seems like you saw a side that
Yeah,
99%
he's
percent of us didn't see.
no. I saw, like I said, I've seen different sides of him that people normally would not see. He was funny. He really funny guy. So funny. He used to have me crying. It was just, just there was just times that I'll never forget. Just being in the studio, just me and him only for hours.
Wow.
Just, his studio, he had this one giant window that was out looking out into his pool, his grass, and the trees, and we would just sit there and listen to music and create, and it was just me and him. And those moments I will never ever forget. It was just,
Wow.
and then he would drop some knowledge on me, just bam, like, Chuck, we lived in, there's a certain way that we lived, and that up is down and down is up. Just certain stuff that you don't really understand until you get older. It's like, what? What are you talking about? Then it hits me, and it's like, oh, okay, now I get it. I get it now. But yeah, he was I just miss certain things about him.
Yeah.
He was just an amazing dude, man. Just super, super amazing. You know,
Was he? He sounds almost like a father figure, that, because you talk
absolutely.
about growing up with your mom and some uncles, but so
He was a father figure when it came to the music aspect of it.
okay.
You know, he was definitely that for sure. Um, he did instill, certain other things, outside of life. You know, of course, I never got any trouble with him. It's like, who did? He's 6'4", you say something or talk back, you get your teeth rattled. So that wasn't happening. Anything he told me to do, I was like, yes, sir, just get it done. But he didn't have to do that because he saw how focused I was, with the music, even as a child.
Yeah.
You know, and if I remember a couple of times, it's so funny. It was like, I think we were in the studio. I was like maybe 11, 10 or 11. He was working on some music, and he said, all right, you guys leave now. It's all of us kids were around, but everybody left, but I'm still standing there, because I'm trying to listen to what's going on. And he said, Chuck Luck, you can go. But he said it with a tone. Like I said, okay. I said, he means business. Like,
Oh.
because it was a certain tone. I said, let me go get on out of here. So I turned around, but when I turned around, he was already up. And he put his hand on my shoulder. He said, when I tell you to go, you got to go, okay? But he gave me just a little, not, it
Oh,
didn't hurt,
yeah.
but he just let me know the power that he meant what he said, so when I tell you to do something, you do it. But I was so encapsulated and drawn to the music that I just, but he saw that, but he just let me know, like, hey, I mean business. I said, man, let me get on up out of here.
Oh,
Let me
goodness.
roll up out of here real quick.
Wow.
Yeah,
But how, what have helped you sort of not get over it but move forward? Because you said 2 years, that's a long time. So
it is.
what
Yeah.
helped you sort of recover from that?
Probably you know, just the music. I just started like writing music again, just getting back into, because I had been doing musical directing for so long. I
Did you
said, let me get,
stop for
yeah,
that?
I just stopped.
You
Yeah,
didn't
I
do
stopped.
anything.
Didn't do anything.
Wow.
Nothing. Nothing. Absolutely zero. And prior to that, like the last major gig that I did, like MD wise, musical directing wise, before I got with Lionel, I was with Faith Evans. I did her Keep the Faith tour.
Wow.
Yeah, I did that tour, which was amazing. That's my girl, man. She's so dope. That tour was awesome because we really put our heads together to really try to put together a great show, and we did. We was killing. That was a great show. Great show. But right after that was when my godfather started getting sick a little bit, so I kind of knew he wasn't really in great health. So I was already like preparing myself, then. It was right after that tour, I remember, yeah. And oh man, I don't know. I think I just keep a lot of the memories that I've had with him that were positive and great. That I think that got me over, his transition for me. It's just thinking about that and saying that's not what Barry would want, you know. Um, so I just focused on that, and I think somehow along the line that just got me to a place to where I could actually deal with it and say, okay, I'm cool, I'm good, I'll be all right.
What was the
Yeah.
thing you did next after 2 years of just being shut away? What was the first thing you did?
That was like 2000. I think after 2005, 2006, I connected with Mary J. Blige,
What?
and I was working on her Hearts of the City tour, where I just did. I came in and basically we started doing that. That was her tour with Jay Z, and we started that. But then, right when we were like right getting to the middle of it, like really starting to get it working, Lionel came in and was like, "Yo, I just got this. We got to roll now. Like I'm doing this project and so and so." So I was like, "Dang, I gotta roll, gotta leave." So I ended up leaving. Yeah,
Had you started the
man.
tour, or do you?
Well, we started rehearsals. We
Oh,
started rehearsals because I was like, okay, this is something different, because Lionel at that time wasn't doing anything. But so I said, this is a great time for me to come in and so we were starting rehearsals, but then Lionel called and was like, yo, we got to bounce. So I told
how
Mary,
did how did she take it?
she was cool. She was okay. I'll probably never work with her again because of that, but yeah. But that was, it's at that time it was just, yeah, yeah. I just told her, and she was cool. She said, you know what, I got guys here that, so it worked out. But
But was this your first thing, just coming out of the morning
yes,
Barry, and she was the first call? Did you get the
yes,
call?
I got the call. Yeah,
Oh, but were you
yeah, I got
turning
the
other
call.
people down before that when they were calling?
Uh, See, I can't even remember if people were calling it at that time. Well, I just didn't answer. I just, I just stayed at home. Yeah, I didn't do anything.
I mean, that sounds like um, it was depression. Depression
Yeah,
is when you stop.
I
Yeah,
was depressed. I was low key depressed. Yeah, depression was definitely in. I wouldn't let anybody know it
yeah.
because they see me. All I do is smile. They're like, "Oh, that's just same old Chuckii." Yeah, but inside, man, I was, boy,
Wow.
yeah, I
Because
was hurting.
one of
Yeah,
the things to treat depression is to increase your activities,
yeah,
getting back on the road. So one would say, okay, you need to be on the road. You need to do a tour. You could talk about it, but you also
right.
need to. But you shut everything down, and so
Shut it down.
unfortunately,
Shut it down.
wow.
Yeah, yeah,
If
yeah.
you had to deal with that now, what would you do differently if situations came that? What would you do
Uh,
differently, learning from that?
oh well, no, it'd be different now. I mean, I do have a couple of people that I can really talk to and trust. You know, who? That's it. Like outside of my family. Of course, DOA being one. That's my guy. So if I was to have that problem or issue ever again, I'll definitely reach out to him. He did reach out to me during that time. I told him I'm cool, but I really wasn't. But I
Yeah,
told no, I'm cool. But I'm sure he knew at some point that I wasn't cool, or else he would have been calling me all the time, saying, "Hey man, you good?" Like.
yeah, yeah.
But I tell him, "No, I'm good, man. I'm cool, I'm cool." But I wasn't. I really wasn't. Uh, and my other partner, Boy Russ, I call him and say, "Hey, he's close. He was closer to me in proximity, so he would always come by and say, "Hey, you cool? You straight? Yeah, I'm cool." But I'm sure he knew I wasn't cool either. So, but
But what would you, because I'm a therapist, and part of halftime chat in the background is
yeah,
really promoting mental health, especially with men.
yes.
What would you suggest those your close friends would should have done, even though you're telling them you're cool? What do you think they could have done to really pull you on? Because even though they're calling, and you're saying you
Uh,
feel, what do you think they could have done? So if anyone else has seen a family member like this, what do you think they could have probably?
I don't think they could have done anything because I really kind of went out of my way to let them know, like, hey, I'm okay. I really am. I'm not to the point to where I'm going to do anything crazy, but I am sad. They knew that. I am
Mhm.
not, but I did reassure them, like, hey, I'll be fine. I'll be okay. It's just dealing with it, from day to day. Everybody's different. I know that. I get that. I get it. Everybody's different. Everyone has a different way of dealing with, depression or dealing with loss, pain, things of that nature. But like I said, I'm a pretty resilient guy. I'm extremely resilient. I would never do anything outside of that. The
Yeah,
way I grew up made me extremely resilient, by far more than the average person, by far.
yeah,
I've taken a lot in my entire life. And I take that and I just take that energy and try to mend it into being a positive influence or a positive response. That's just the person I've always been because I've got nothing but negativity in my entire life since I was a kid. So I just turn that around. Just say, hey, this is what it is. It's up to you how you gonna deal with it. Are you gonna deal with it with negativity or positivity? Or are
mm,
you gonna take this and make it be optimistic about it and say, hey, it's gonna be all right, it's gonna work. Still gotta have a plan though.
yeah,
Still gotta have a plan to make things turn out right. But just the fact that you're thinking that way, because words, as my godfather would tell me, are golden. And what he means by that is what you say is what's gonna happen. So you have to think and be positive because words are your action.
yeah,
So if you're not gonna be about that, then don't speak about that. I can honestly say that in my entire life, and that I didn't follow that design. I didn't follow those rules. I didn't. You know, there was things that I said that I didn't really mean, but I was just trying to better the other person by saying, comfort them.
mm,
I can't roll like that anymore. I can't move like that. That was what I used to be. I'm not that person anymore. I can't be that way. So, yeah, your words are everything.
yeah,
That's what I was taught.
mm,
Your words are everything. So, yeah,
yeah. I wonder if they had said, "Come on, Chuck, can you come and play in my band?" Would you have? And they insisted, "I look up if somebody's dropped down, we need you." Would you have? You think you would have?
I don't know. I
Yeah,
really don't know. I can't say if I would, if I would. I mean, if I would have done it or not. It's hard to say because my
yeah,
mental space at that time was just so different for me.
mm,
I never felt anything like that ever in my life. So it was like a first time experience for me.
yeah.
But I was depressed, man, for real.
Yeah, I mean, and that's the thing. We try and
Yeah.
teach people that I tell people that you have to, if you know somebody's going for this, it's an intervention. You bring him out. Let's go.
Yeah.
Let's jam.
Yeah.
Let's connect to something that
Yeah.
he's passionate about and stuff. And
Yeah.
unfortunately for us as Black people, we there's this sense we need to be strong for our family,
I
for everyone. And
I
we need
get
to
it.
just hold on.
I
Yeah,
get it. Yeah, I get it. Yep. Yeah, it's that stigma, man. It's on us.
yeah,
We
yeah.
can't take that jacket off, man.
Yeah.
It was put on us. So
Wow. Well, you know what? It's no, and at least I'm glad at least you've been able to share and talk about that, and
yeah,
because as I said, there's lots of people who do watch, and my hope and plan is that if they are ever experiencing stuff like that,
yeah,
is if people like DOA, close people are calling
yeah,
and they know that you're not fine, but you're saying you're fine,
yeah.
I would encourage you to say, okay, no, I'm just going to come to that. I had a friend, he was
Right.
just like that. I went to his house and spent the night, and I'd cook for him. I'd go every weekend, just hang out, cook, and after a while, he couldn't help but get out the house because
Yeah.
I didn't let him go because I just felt that if I'm not there, he's just gonna shut down.
Yeah. I know that feeling. I know that feeling. Trust me, I know that feeling. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
So you've got Lionel Richie. I think so. Right now in the UK, we've got something called Glastonbury. So if people are wondering what's Glastonbury, it's 250,000 people that gather for a couple of
Yeah.
for a weekend.
Yes.
It's like think Woodstock
Crazy.
and what's that? Coachella times
Coachella.
10.
It's like that. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
the thing
Coachella.
of it.
Yeah.
A couple of years ago, Lionel Richie came on a Sunday and performed, and it made news here because there's always the stage. So we've had Dolly Parton a few years ago. So the Sunday
Yes.
spot is always reserved for the legends. So it's got a legend spot. So the night, Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday nights are the headliners. But the fourth spot is always the Sunday legend spot. And when Lionel came, it made news that how he was reacting to seeing over 100,000 people singing along. You said you
Huge.
were there that day on doing that tour.
Yes.
What was that like?
Electric. Because there's a part in the show like it's crazy because Lionel, there's a part of the show where he stands out in the crowd, he raises his arms, and then he turns his back on the audience, and he raises his arms. And I'm right, I'm like stage right to the directly to the left of him. So he kind of looks at him sometimes like, yeah, this is. But when that happened, I remember he turned around, he looked at me, and he was like he was just, he's like, I can't believe this. This is crazy. He had never felt that much energy
Wow.
ever, ever. He was so blown away that the people uh just accepted him for who he was. I don't think he's ever felt anything like that ever in his life, other than that time in Glastonbury. It
Wow.
blew him away. Blew him away. Which in return blew me away because I'd never seen him like that. In the 21 years that I've been with him, I've never seen him respond or look at me. It was almost to the point where he was almost in tears.
Wow.
And I've never seen that.
What do you think happened? Because he's been everywhere.
Now, I know. I don't know what happened, but he just felt a love. Like, man, these people, after 50 years of being in this business, that they finally love me. Like, I'm not saying that's what he felt, but to me, that's what it looked like. He felt like. And when you give Lionel Richie a love like that, oh, he's going to perform until he dies. He's going to perform until he can't perform anymore. That made him just want to go even harder
Wow.
for the people in the audience, and he did.
Wow.
I don't think he's ever felt anything like that before or since.
And I think it's hard for people to understand because Lionel in the 80s was, outside of Michael Jackson with Thriller, I mean,
Oh no,
he was,
he was that dude.
he was the guy,
He was that guy.
and so and he's still respected. I mean, anywhere he goes.
Yeah,
So
and
I want,
he's still doing this at a high level. Like
yeah.
seriously.
How is he keeping his voice? Because he sounds. I mean, I saw him on the King's coronation
Yeah,
singing, and yeah, he's probably a year younger than the king, but he's,
yeah,
he's
yeah.
so how is he able to keep up?
He's because he's living off of life, man. He's utilizing the gift that God gave him.
Wow.
You got to utilize it. If you don't, you take it away from you.
Yeah.
So every day when he gets up, he's like, man, I'm thankful for this gift I have. And not just the gift of music, but the gift to entertain. That's a total two different
Yeah.
things. He knows what to say to people. He knows how to say it. He's a great diplomatic artist. He's just great. He's just a great guy, man. And he just knows how to perform and to entertain people. He has that gift.
He was a prolific songwriter in back in his day.
Yeah.
You were a producer songwriter. Have you guys ever collaborated on
Oh yeah.
making?
Yeah, yeah. We performed. Oh God, I did like I co-wrote like 5 songs, maybe 5 or 6 songs on his Coming Home record.
Oh,
I'm Coming Home. Yeah.
yes, okay.
Yeah. I did quite a few joint wrote and co-produced 5 joints with him on that record. That's the one that has I Call It Love on it.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yes, yeah.
album. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is this officially with Motown? Because I know they don't. Stevie's still in Motown, and Dan. I mean, is he? Does he still have to? He's not releasing albums anymore.
You there?
Yeah, you did. Okay, you got back. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Obviously. Yeah. At that time, he was with Island Def Jam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
So, just as we wrap up, right now you're on tour for another couple of weeks, and then you return back to the States. What should
Yes.
we expect to see from you over the next 12 months or so, or between now and the end of the year? Oh, well, at least to the end of the
Well,
year.
well, I know there's gonna be a lot of touring. That's for sure.
Wow.
A lot of touring with Lionel, and hopefully, I'm also going to be doing some shows on my own as an artist.
University
We're gonna
2.0 or just Chuckii Booker?
University 2.0.
Oh, so there's no just
We're
Chuckii.
no, we get ready to get that work and get that back to roll again.
Okay.
Uh, then yeah, and to finish up my record, I changed gears a few times about the way that I want to go as far as the direction. But now that I've changed my direction, then I'm gonna go ahead and go back home, start recording that. I'm gonna change a few things for that project for Generations album, because I changed up my vibe a little bit.
Okay.
So yeah, so I'm gonna
Do you
start
have a
working on that.
drop date or the time frame that you want to
No,
finish?
no, not just yet.
Okay.
But me and D are gonna work on that on the like the 3 or 4 songs that I want to record along with the project. Me and DOA are going to do that. So I'll be doing that as well, but also rehearsing for this upcoming Earth, Wind, and Fire tour as well. So we have that on top of everything else. So it's a lot of work. I'm going to be busy.
So is that going to be a North American tour or is it going to be international as well?
North American, North American for
Wow.
now.
Wow.
I'm pretty sure at some point they would probably think about taking it overseas. That would be the smart thing to do
Yeah.
because it's doing well as far as just ticket sales in North America.
Wow. Is that supposed to, when is that supposed to start?
It starts I want to say the first week of August, I believe.
Oh,
Yeah, like
so
August.
later, so after summer.
Yes, August 1st, I think it starts.
Wow. Wow. I mean, and you're still performing here. I mean, it's a
Yeah,
lot.
it's a lot. It's a lot.
Goodness.
That's what I said. It's no joke, man. It's people say, man, Chuckie's always, he's always working. He's always gone. He's always busy. Yes. Look who I'm working. Look who I'm with. It's
Yeah.
hard. People
Yeah.
don't realize. People do not realize, like, once you're out here on the road, and then changes happen. Lionel, he'll change schedules in a heartbeat. Like, you know, how hard it is, like to even just be with someone and say, hey, yeah, this is our schedule, and then you take off, and then it's like, well, where are you at? Oh, well, I'm in Scotland. Wait, but on the list it doesn't say. Yeah, I know, because they change. It's hard. It's people they don't get it, man. That just recently happened too. Like, what are you doing in Scotland? But on here it says you're supposed to. Yeah, but they added, things change, and
And then you guys have to fly up there, or he
and we
just.
have to fly. Yeah, we have to go. When he says go, you just go. You don't ask questions. It's like, okay, you just go. Meanwhile, the person you told is yeah, well, yeah, oh yeah. Are you sure you there? Well, are you sure you ain't? No, I'm schedules change. I'm gone. No questions asked.
Wow, goodness. So, but with the F-105 thing, that's just told that big. Um, hopefully there'll be some collaborations
Who's to say?
Okay.
I can't call it.
You can't call it. It just finally for those who has seen the interview with DOA, one of the things I loved about interviewing him was not knowing too much about him, but was he's very passionate with his storytelling. But he would.
Absolutely. That boy is one of the greatest storytellers outside of Jamie Foxx that I've ever known, that I've met. Jamie will tell a great story. DOA will tell a great story.
Yeah.
Trust me.
He will transport you as if you were there with them out on Redondo Beach or stuff like that, and he
right.
takes his time through that. But he said you gave him the nickname DOA, and
I did.
what did you see in him that you gave him that name?
I just saw how passionate he was about the music. He was, in those terms, he is just like me as far as just, man, I just love the music. And we both love James Brown. We have similarities when it comes to that. Of course, his musicianship is way off the charts, like crazy. He's one of the most like talented musicians that I know. He not only can he play the bass, but that boy would get on that guitar and wear you out.
Wow.
Boy, he can play that guitar. I love D when he played guitar, man. DOA, he's just a super talented guy. But more importantly, I can call him a friend. He is, to me, that's more important than anything to me. It's just that we have the same similarities when it comes to liking music. And, we always talk, shop, like, James Brown, Prince, Sly. I love talking about stuff like that with him, because he has just as much knowledge, as I do, and I just love that. I just love music, man. I'm just all about, doesn't matter where it comes from, Prince, that's, that guy.
Did you ever meet Prince?
I met him. Yes. I met him once. Yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I met him once. And it was, it was very interesting surrounding, but yeah, I did meet him at the time. This was during his 1999 tour. It was interesting because I was with the group Tease.
Okay.
Yeah, and
you hadn't broken, so that means you hadn't come out, you hadn't done your album.
No,
okay.
No. This is before I was, but our accountant at the time, Fred Moultrie, was an accountant for Tease. He was also the accountant for Prince. So he got us tickets to the show.
Okay.
So after the show, he said, "Hey man, well, let's go." They have a back room to see if there's a little after together. And I didn't think he was going to come out because he was known as just being very just out of the way quiet. But first I saw Vanity came out, and I was just Denise. I'm sorry, rest in peace. Denise came out, Denise Matthews, and as soon as I saw her, I just melted. I was like, because I said, that's my wife. That's who I wanted to marry. And I remember, I wanted to meet her so bad. I asked Fred, I said, Fred, can you please introduce me to Denise, please? I mean, and he's like, yeah. I said, dude, that's like, she's like the goddess to me. She's like my wife. I want to marry her, so he laughed, right? So he takes me over to her. Now, mind you, Fred was a nut. He was crazy too. Fred, he said, hey, Denise, this is Chuckii. He's an up and coming, musician, writer. And, and I'm sitting there just looking at her, just like, and he goes, yeah, and he also wants to marry you. And I'm like, I just look at Fred, like, why would you say that? I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh my God. And let me tell you, she went, oh, she said, come here. She said, oh, you're so sweet. She said, you're so cute with your dimples. And she kissed me on my dimple, on my right side of my face. And let me tell you, I didn't wash my face for about a month. I didn't wash my face for a month because Vanity, aka Denise Matthews, kissed me on my cheek. Rest in peace. So after that, I was done, man. It was all about Denise Matthews after that. It was all about Vanity Six after that. Nobody could tell me nothing. I
Oh
was
goodness.
done. I was cooked, man. I was
And you
cooked.
saw Prince the same day?
And then right after that, I was mad at Fred. I was like, man, Fred, why you say that, man? You made me look like an idiot, dude. I was a kid, man. But after that, we were about to leave, and then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, Prince comes out. And I was like, oh snap. I was like, wow. It's like, damn, he's really short. That's the first thing I was like, wow. I thought I was, he's like, wow. That was the first thing I thought. Like, dang. But then it was like, okay. So I shook his hand and he gave me a nice firm grip. He's like, how you doing? Because Fred said, hey, this is Chuckii. This is, he said, how you doing? Nice to meet you. He's very firm handshake. But he was cool. We didn't really chop it up. He just said, how you doing? Nice to meet you. And, good luck, everything. And that was it,
Wow. But then, so you get, even with your success, you're both on the same label afterwards when there was no other. Yeah.
Well, at the time, by the time we got to, I was on Atlantic, even though it was part of the Warner Electric Atlanta, I was on Atlantic. So but yeah, after that, we never really connected or anything. I connected with Morris Day, of course. I did a few joints with Morris and,
okay.
And I know Bean is, cool. That's my Jelly Bean is my dude. Bean is cool. Jesse is cool. I talked to Jesse. Yeah, I talked to Jesse a few times. We're I really respect Jesse, man. Great guitarist, man. Yeah. So yeah, I met.
But you think he knew of you afterwards? I mean,
no.
he probably wouldn't.
You know what? Yeah, actually he did. Because, well, I don't know if I should put his name out there. I don't want to do that, but let's just say one of the guys from his band, I know. And so I remember we performed in Minneapolis for the Janet tour. And during that set, I get on the piano and I play the piano and I, do my thing. I remember one of the guys telling me that Prince was in the audience and he was watching. And I remember all the guys from NPG were there. And I remember one of the guys saying, he turned around and looked at Prince and was like, when I was playing the piano, they said, yeah, like, he's a bad boy. He's playing. And he said that Prince's response was, yeah, he all right. So so that was cool. But it was cool though, because I said, okay, that's funny. It's funny, all right. So from that moment when he told me that, I tried to make it my whatever I could do. I said, I want to run into this dude and like I just want to play with him. I really want to play with him, like I really wanted to jam session with him, but of course it never happened. But that's a funny story that he said he's all right, he's okay. He's all right, which is cool. That's cool. I'm with it. He could have said I was terrible,
Yeah. But then I've heard people say how he pays compliments in a very different backhanded way and stuff like that.
Yeah. So I took that as, hey, it's cool.
Plus it was a
he
tour.
Said I was terrible.
It's the Rhythm Nation tour, so
yeah, Rhythm Nation tour. Yeah. Yeah.
Wow. Well, just as we leave, I always ask my guests that if you had was stuck in an elevator and you had to pick a favorite movie to to pass your time, what you're in a hotel right now. If you could watch any movie, what's your favorite all-time movie?
It would be Fifth Element.
I don't believe it. Fifth Element, Bruce Willis.
That movie.
Oh, goodness.
I love that movie.
Fifth Element. Wow.
And not just because of like Bruce Willis and Chris Tucker and all that stuff, but it was a story behind it. The connections to the powers, to the pyramids, and it's that part that goes over people's heads.
Yeah, because I don't think I mean I remember the different elements, but wow, okay.
That movie and Stargate are two movies that go right over people's heads with the symbols, the signs, and the really. Like I said, we one day if we talk, I'll let you know what's up.
Okay, okay.
But it's the symbols, it's the signs that point to what people really don't know, what's really going on. That's those
Wow.
two movies really set it apart from everything else.
Well, I'll make sure. I remember watching Stargate, but I don't think I. Yeah, okay. I will. I
Yeah,
will rewatch both of them and take a look. Yeah,
yeah,
okay.
yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So okay, there's a different. Okay, no, I mean, it's amazing that some films we just take them at face value and we get lost in
Yeah,
the
yeah,
comedic
yeah, yeah,
value and stuff like that. But
yeah, yeah, yeah.
the story sometimes becomes second fiddle to. Okay, and I'll go back and look at that song though. What's your all-time favorite track? Not yours, but just by anyone. That's yeah, you.
That's easy. That would be "Yearning for Your Love" by the Gap Band.
Wow,
My all-time favorite song, all time. Nothing comes
wow,
close.
wow.
Yeah.
How did? Well, that's a. I was listening to it just 2 days ago, and I thought I preferred the guy version because it.
Oh no, 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 no. Heavens no. I am sorry. I disagree with you 100% on that. No, what the version they did is nice, but I'm just for me, for me, I'm just saying, uh, composition, the production, the bass playing. That was the first bass that I ever heard where someone took that top E string and just tuned it all the way down, to I that song just does it for me. It to me
Wow,
that's like the perfect song for me.
wow,
I'm just talking about for me.
wow,
It resonates with me.
wow.
Uh,
I did wow. I'll listen. I listened to it just 2 days ago. So
yeah,
yeah, but as I said in my head, because I'm a massive Guy and Teddy fan, I listened to it. And I thought it didn't seem to have the urgency as the Guy version, but it was
like
the original.
I'm from a different era, so
Yeah.
yeah, it's a different era. It's the
Wow.
same thing when people talk about "All I Do Is Think of You." With the Jacksons did it, and then of course I produced the one on the Troop did their version of it. "All I Do Is
Um,
Think of You." A lot of people didn't know that was a remake of the Jacksons, but it's the same thing. People will say, "Oh man, I like the Troops version of that song
mm,
better than the Jacksons." But for me, I mean, even though I produced the Troop version of it, the Jackson man, Michael just, and I'm sure Steve from Troop would agree as well. But just Michael's performance, man, just took me
yeah.
out. Took me out, man. I could never go against Michael's version ever.
Did you ever meet him?
I met him once. I met him. Oh, where I met him is really crazy. And this is really crazy. This was during I was with Lionel. We were in Las Vegas performing. This is before it was what theater was that? We were doing a show at a theater. It was at Planet Hollywood. And so we had just did a show there. I think it was 2003. I believe it was 2003. 2003. We did the show. So after the concert, people were outside of Lionel's room waiting to meet him. There was a couple of people, but they had cleared everybody out. There was this lady there, and then there was this old man. It was like an old man there. So I went up and I was talking to the old man for a second. I said, "Are you here waiting for Lionel?" He goes, "Oh yeah." He goes, "I'm waiting." He said, "It was a great show, by the way." I said, "Oh, thank you." I was talking to the lady, and she said, "Yeah, it was a great show." And then we talked for a minute. And then the next thing I know, he says, "Yeah, man." He says, "I really, really enjoyed the show." And he said, and on top of it, he says, "I really enjoyed the work that you did for my sister." And I said, "Your sister?" I said, "Who's your sister?" And he didn't say. He smiled, and then he went in the room. And I said, "Who's he talking about?" And then the lady was next to me. She said, "That was Michael Jackson in disguise." I went, "What? What?" He had this old man disguise. I was like, "What?" Man, I was talking to Mike. He didn't even tell me. He said I was working with your sister. I'm like, who's this old man sister that I worked with? Because he was an old ass man. But he had a disguise on.
Oh my.
Man, I was tripping. So when he went in, and then after when I talked to Lionel, I was like, yo, I said, there was Mike. He said, yeah, man. He said, did you see the disguise? I said, yeah, he talked to me in that disguise. I didn't know that was him. And his voice was deep. He wasn't like, you know, Mike is it? No, he was like, yeah, man, he changed his voice and everything. He said, Mike is a
Oh.
shrimp. He got me. He
So
got me.
he knew you from Rhythm Nation.
Yeah, he knew. Yeah, of course he did. He knew it. Yeah, he said, yeah. And he said it like that too. He's like, yeah, I really enjoyed, the work you did with my sister. And right when I said, my head, I went, and I was like, who was? And then by the time I realized he was already, in the room with Lionel, so I didn't get time to respond. And then the lady
Wow.
said, "Oh, that's Michael in disguise." I was like,
Oh my goodness.
he got me. Yeah.
Yeah, but he still, I mean, the fact that he still remembered you from that, I mean, he put two and two
Well, yeah.
together.
I mean, he watched the show. I'm sure he knew who I was. Just the name, I guess.
No, but that's, I mean, it's such 15, 20 years. That's a long time to say this was the guy who,
Yeah, well, it was like, yeah, it was because that was 1989, 99. Yeah, it was like 13, 14 years. Yeah, 13, 14 years since that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, that's a long time. They still, wow. Yeah, because
He
we heard,
remembered.
yeah.
He knew. And I also auditioned for his Thriller tour. I did an actual video audition, as a keyboard player. Of course, I didn't get it, but I auditioned, so I'm sure he probably seen that as well.
Oh, so this was Thriller Tour because he didn't do a Thriller Tour. He did because he
Well,
went.
it was that tour after Thrill. It was whatever that tour was
It
after
was with
that.
the Victory Tour. He did it with the
Was it
brothers.
Was it the Victory? No, it wasn't. Oh, maybe it was the Victory tour.
Yeah, because
Wherever it
after
was, I
Thriller, he did
remember.
with the brothers, and then he
Yeah,
did.
it was one of those
Was
tours. I
it
can't
bad?
remember.
Was it not bad?
It When was bad? When was bad released?
Bad was released in about 1987, so 88. So this is 2 or 3
So
years
it
before
was, yeah, it was that because this is
Bad.
around 87.
Yeah, so it was
So I
bad.
think it was the bad tour because we went. I had to, as an audition, you had to go down to. There was this place in North Hollywood called Leeds Rehearsal, and that's where they were holding all the auditions. So I went down there. They put you on the camera and they ask you all these questions. You sit there, and then you get on the keyboard, you play, whatever, blah 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 blah. But I did that like in about 80. Yeah, like I said, I was doing everything around 86, 87.
Okay, okay.
Whatever was going on, I was there. I was doing
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
No,
But
but
I knew I probably wouldn't get it, but I said, hey, I'm auditioning anyway.
yeah, but you probably, I wonder if you had done it, I doubt if Janet would have picked you just because she wanted to be independent. So that sense of, oh, you did for Michael, and people always,
Exactly.
yeah.
Exactly. Exactly.
and
And I
and
thought about that too.
yeah, she would have just thought no, any because, but then I've a lot of of us who are big Michael fans. Um, I've really recently found out that actually the Rhythm Nation album was had such an impact on him that he tried to chase that sound to his detriment, meaning that he just kept away from the things that made him, his soul
Yeah,
and everything. And he was
that's true.
trying to
Yeah,
recreate that
that's
album
true.
with other producers, and that's I mean, it was a great album, but I yeah, I don't know if he needed to try and recreate it with his and chase the
Yeah.
sound.
Yeah. Yeah. It's yeah. But hey, it is what it is.
Yeah, but frankly, who are your top five artists then? Just just singers or male females that you would be in your top five.
Top five. Ooh, Nnamdi, you making this difficult. This is in no order.
Yeah, no, no, it
Now,
doesn't
do
have
they
to be
have to
no.
be alive or they're
No, no,
or,
no, no.
or
Just everywhere.
just
Yeah,
just in general?
just because the thing is because you as a producer, songwriter,
Uh,
and a student of music, you have a very different ear than the average person.
uh, Let me see. I'll go with. All right. Of course, Stevie is one. Jeffrey Osborne.
Wow, Jeffrey
Love
Osborne.
Jeffrey, man. Jeffrey is my dude. Donny Hathaway, and this is in no order. I'm
Yeah,
just
yeah,
naming
yeah. Mm.
Donny Hathaway, uh, Emmanuel Stewart. No, not Stewart. Emmanuel. What's Emmanuel's last name? He's the lead singer for the group. Um, Gloria, my Gloria, set your little get it away. What's the name of that group? I love his voice. Emmanuel. I'm sure people out there know they had the song was called. They had a song called "It's You That I Need" and "Gloria." Those were the two songs, but his voice, unbelievable. And I'm throwing a blank here because uh, God, I can't think. If you can look it up, song called "Gloria." It's you that I need, and the name of the group. I think they're from Detroit.
Enchantment.
Enchantment. Yes,
Okay, okay, I just have
that's
to.
them. Enchant. The lead singer for Enchantment. Whew, that that dude. My goodness.
Well, Emmanuel E.J. Johnson.
Yeah, I knew it was Emmanuel something. Emmanuel EJ. That 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 man.
Wow.
That man is a crazy singer. Another one. I love Kiki Wyatt.
Wow.
Kiki Wyatt is just unbelievable.
Wow.
I would actually like to work with Kiki. I wish I could like sit down and just put together a crazy track for her. Kiki is just crazy. She's nice with it. She is just crazy with it. Uh, Layla Hathaway. I love Layla.
Was it was do you think there was big pressure on her having a dad who would to take up?
Oh no, no, because she was just so confident with her voice. She's just very confident, and it shows. She exudes all of that. She, of course, she has some inflections when she first started, but
Hmm.
right now she's in her own man. She's in her own lane. She's in her very own lane right now. She's killing it.
As a producer, because I know speaking to DOA, he talks about working with Kem and Joe and others. You're not as are you more reluctant to get back into the studio producing for others, or is
I
it
would like.
touring is
I would love to. I would
okay?
love to because I have so much like that. I've just never had a chance to really show. As far as my production skill, writing skill, it's still there. Nothing has really changed. Um, so yeah, I would love to.
But what
I would
stops you
love to.
from working with some of these people? Is it just busy? It's just like
No, I think it's just a matter of just it's just both ends. I think it's just letting people know that hey, I am available for production or writing. It's either that or just people just reaching out, or people just saying, you know what, he's just tied in with Lionel, so I'm not gonna bother him. But no, I can definitely you know multitask.
what about guys troop? I mean, they're still
I want to. I want to, but they working too.
well they do they okay. I
They
do
do it.
that.
No, they're doing their thing. You know what? I'm gonna just call Steve. I'm gonna call Steve and just say, hey man, I'm gonna send you a couple. He actually has been asking me like, send me a couple of joints.
Yeah, okay.
So I will. I'm gonna call Steve. I'm gonna see what's up with
Yeah,
him.
because I've spoken with John twice, and he's we I love John. He's always a
John is cool. That's my dude.
yeah, I
That's
love
my
John.
boy, John
Uh,
John.
yeah, he I loves his story. His story about meeting Michael was he said that Michael was at a school doing some they were doing a presentation to him, and he was able to get in, and he was just there, and Michael was in the corner, and he was looking at John and talking to his manager, And then John John thought that because somebody got him in,
Yeah.
he thought they were like, "Who is he? How is he here?" So Michael walked up to him, and he was panicking, thinking they were about to kick him out. And he says, "I love you. Hey, John John, loves you guys, loves your performance." And he was like, "Wow, this guy knew about us." And then he said,
I knew, I knew that blew John John away.
Yeah, he said, "Wow, everything we do from you." Because he even said
Yeah.
the inspiration for "Spread My Wings" on Arsenio
Yeah.
was taken from the when the Jacksons did the Motown 25, when they did
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
come together and stuff like that. And yeah, he says it was surreal, but he's met all of them and stuff. But that moment, he just talks about
Yeah.
how how it's because as I say, I'm a massive Michael fan and stuff. And
Yeah.
the fact that he
Yeah.
knows these people and he's really down to earth and stuff.
Yeah. John John's cool, man. That's my people, man. He good people, man. John John is good people, man. That's my boy.
Oh goodness. Well, Chuck, I know that it must be. I don't know. Is what do you get to do on tour in different cities? I mean, you've spent some time doing an interview, but in general, once you finish, are you playing or
What
you just watching
the only thing
TV?
the only thing I look forward to after traveling and doing these shows is going to sleep.
Oh, so when you get back in, you just sleep up.
Like right after we get out from here, I'm going to bed.
Okay, okay.
I'm going to bed. I'm going to chill for a minute, meditate, and then I'm just going to take my butt to bed.
Oh, so you going to do around the city, just look around at the sights
Not
and
not today, not tonight.
okay,
We got
okay.
a show tomorrow. We got a
Okay.
show tomorrow. So a lot of people think, oh yeah, you got a show tomorrow. All you're gonna do is what? Get to the venue around 6:30, 7 p.m. No, my day starts as soon as I get up. Production meetings, sound checks, line checks, rehearsal, making sure everything is good. Get the guys, round them up, get them together. Let's go. It's a long day. It's a long
What time
day.
do you go to the venue before the
Yes.
wow.
Oh yes. Yeah.
Just the band, Lionel wouldn't show up and do sound check
No,
or
no, Lionel wouldn't show up. But in some cases, if it's depending on the show, yeah, he will be there if he has to be. But that's what he has me for, to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So when he does walk on the stage, he doesn't have to worry about anything. That's my job. So
wow.
that's what I do.
You're not tempted to come out and say, "Why you wanna play some games?"
If I was to do that, I would probably catch the next plane smoking going home.
No. Before being the opening act for Lionel Richie's Chuckii Booker.
No, this is the Lionel Richie show. Let it not be twisted. This is his show, and
No.
this is the only show it's going to be.
Oh, don't you miss playing games and turn around
Of
and
course I do. Of course I do. That's why I'm doing my own thing, when I have the time.
but on university we're not hearing those. Are we hearing them because the clips I've seen are very funky. So I don't know. Are you doing them?
No, man. See, you got to come to the show. No,
Okay,
no, you ain't
okay,
seeing it. No, we do it. No, 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 no. No, we doing. You got to come to the show.
okay,
You haven't
okay.
seen the entire show. You only seen clips.
Yeah, the
Clips ain't gonna
clips.
get you the whole show.
Yeah.
No, we're doing games. We're doing turned away. We're doing all of that stuff the way it is on the record.
Oh, wait, okay. You're not making a funky version of it.
No, 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 no.
Okay,
That's
okay,
only on a couple of. No, 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 no,
okay.
no.
What was the reception of the last thing you did out in City Winery? I mean, no, it was City Winery. It was Yoki. It was Yossi.
Yoshi's.
Yeah.
That was the first time. Yeah, that was great, great response. Amazing response. I was like overwhelmed. Actually, I didn't think it was gonna be like that. I didn't know. Honestly, I didn't know what to expect, but it was a good show. It was a
So okay, so we should say
good turnout.
we expect more in between stuff.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow, Chuckii. Well, I've kept you, and definitely appreciate that. I know
No
that
problem.
I try to get you a while back, and that's when I told Karen, man, Chuckii
He
just.
said, "Yeah, he's a little bit reluctant." I was cracking up when I seen that.
no, no.
Karen was rolling too. She was
Yeah,
cracking up too.
yeah,
This
yeah,
little
yeah.
reluctant.
No,
I said, I'm gonna get this dude when I see
no,
him. I'm gonna get him.
no, I didn't say no,
Nnamdi.
no. No, it's no, but yeah, I know that's yeah, but you we don't get to see much of you because I know even
Yeah,
on IG you post a lot of different things, stories, but you don't really
yeah.
post too much and stuff.
Nah. But I will though. I will eventually. I will.
Well, I guess it all depends on what you want people to see. I mean, if I mean, everyone's they're still, if you know, they're still loved when it comes to people remember the Chuckii, the music, and stuff. And so, you know, I'm sure if you start to do more shows, you definitely get the support. But I guess it's this touring with Lionel is, and then Earth, Wind and
Yeah.
Fire. That's gonna be
That's
that's
gonna
gonna be
be
a,
it's gonna be a monster. It's gonna be a monster show. So I'm telling you, it's gonna be a monster show.
wow.
It's gonna be crazy.
I mean, have you played with no, not played, but have you met up with Phil and
Oh, of course, yeah. I've worked on. I did an album with Philip Bailey, his solo album. I did a
okay.
song called "Live It Up," and oh yeah, I did quite a few projects with Philip. Verdine, I know very well. Me and Verdine talk all the time, so I'm
Oh,
cool with Verdine. Uh, yeah, so that's gonna be it's gonna be more like a I don't know. It's gonna be a cool like a family
yeah.
tour. For me it is, because I know all the guys.
Would you do another? Would you have to do an addition with the band, or do you keep the same band?
No,
Or
it's gonna be the same band.
oh, the same guys that you're touring with now? They'll
Yeah. Yeah. It's
okay.
gonna no changes or anything. It's just gonna be yeah. It's just gonna be cool.
Yeah, well, okay. Well, whenever you have time to start get back into the studios, I mean, we need to have there are loads of different artists who old school artists who I mean, I'm sure if they ever heard a Chuckii Booker is available to produce, they'll be knocking on the doors and stuff like that. So it would be good to be able to see do something with Karen. If that should be
I
awesome.
would love to work with Karen, but she like I said, she think I took her band.
You know what? But when she was blowing up, I think then the Rhythm Nation tours, but it was only DOA that left to do on the deal. Was anyone
Yeah,
else?
you know what? I'm just kidding. I
Okay.
don't know. Yeah, yeah, I'm not serious about that.
No.
No, I said Karen is still that's still my cousin. Like I said, that's my girl.
Yeah, no, I love and one of the things I love about Karen and John Joe when I mention them is that anything I put on the channel, they're always there supporting and sending love and stuff. So
Yeah, which is
yeah,
great.
yeah, which always humbles me that with both of them, you have many guests, but those both two really still support and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So
that's
definitely
awesome.
definitely appreciate it.
No,
So
that's awesome.
yeah, yeah, both of them. So, well, hopefully, as I said, I'm they you guys are back in the UK next week. I think yeah, next week. Is it next week? Yes, it is next
Yeah.
week. So, as I said, I'm working to try and make sure I can make the show there.
Yes, sir.
So
Come
definitely,
on out, brother Nnamdi.
yeah, definitely. But it's definitely great to be able to hear your story and stuff like that and yeah and then one day we'll get to people get to understand the industry that everyone's trying to get into. It's
Yeah.
probably it's maybe it's not it's not the need to rush on in because
Right?
there's a price to pay and it maybe not the best in the long run and stuff.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow. Okay, Chuck. Well, I'll let you go. I know you got your rest. I know yesterday was busy, and I know you're back on stage tomorrow. So,
Yeah.
but I'll keep in touch and
Please
yeah,
do. Please do. Yeah.
definitely,
Let me know what's going on with you.
definitely.
What's your
Okay.
favorite football team? I see England on there.
Well, England's yeah, no,
Who do you
Liverpool's
rock with?
Liverpool. Liverpool.
Liverpool.
Yeah. So the
Okay.
home of the Beatles. So that's where I was born.
Okay.
So I was
Got
born
you.
out. So being yeah, growing up, my accent has changed, but growing up, we always knew we had Liverpool as the football team, and then we had the Beatles as our
Yes.
heritage. But it was, I mean, Liverpool was like a city that was rich, but its
Yeah.
riches were built on slavery. And when slave trade was banned, it lost a lot of its money. So it was really poor. It became really
Poverty. Yeah.
probably. And so, but it's changed and transformed now. But yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I
Well,
mean, the UK, but the UK. I
okay.
mean, but I still love the US. And still, I mean, still miss out there and stuff. But
That's okay.
yeah,
But
I mean,
just to let you know, I'm rocking with Arsenal.
how did you get picked? How did you get Arsenal? Somebody must have told you about them, or what? Uh, okay, you
There
back.
you are.
Yeah, how did you pick Arsenal?
Because when I remember we toured, like this was years ago. It was in 2001, 2002. The manager and the owner came out to one of Lionel's shows, and they gave us all this gear and stuff, hats and stuff. I'm like, okay, I'm rocking with Arsenal.
Oh goodness! Oh goodness!
Uh,
Oh goodness! Oh, okay. Now the guy
he
who
said, "Oh my goodness."
the guy who owns the Rams, and who else? His team just won the. He owns the Rams. Who else? Yeah, the guy who owns the Rams. His team.
Okay.
Oh, he has another team that just won.
Oh, really?
NBA, Denver Nuggets. He owns the
Oh,
Nuggets as
yeah,
well.
Denver Nuggets. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. The guy who owns the Nuggets and owns the Rams owns Arsenal.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Married. He's married to the Walmart's family, Walton. That's his wife. But he's got his own, made his own money stuff. Okay, it's Arsenal. Oh, is that? Yeah. Okay. I mean, when I moved to the States, I was a Vikings fan because they had Rodney Cunningham, and I was like, the quarterback's the most important player in this team.
Yeah.
And the only team at the time who had a black quarterback was
Yeah,
the Vikings. So I became a Vikings fan. And that,
Randall Cunningham. Yeah.
So that's how I became a Viking fan. Then briefly I supported the Houston Oilers because they had Warren Moon. So I picked my so that's how I kind of picked my teams back in the day. And I lived in Wisconsin, going to college there, and I just didn't like the Packers because everyone loved the Packers. I said no, I'm going to pick the Vikings stuff. But anyway, yeah. Anyway, well, Chuckii, I'll let you. It's probably around getting to 10 over there and stuff. But it's been great.
It's been great, man.
Yeah, but as I said, if and I know the tour is winding down, so hopefully I get, as I said, I'm making plans to try and make it out Tuesday.
Okay.
But if not, we'll keep in touch and stuff.
Okay, man. Sounds good, bro.
Yeah. We should look out for the song. When do you think that should be out? Is it in the fall or?
Hopefully, yeah. Hopefully in the fall.
Okay, they haven't said it. Okay, they haven't told you when it comes out. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we'll see when this one comes out, but and stuff.
Okay.
But yes, great talking to you. I'm glad.
Likewise.
Yeah, I'm glad.
Likewise,
I'm glad we could finally do this and stuff. But I'll definitely be in touch and everything.
You got it, man.
Okay.
All right, man. I'll talk to you soon, man.
All right. Take care.
All right. Cheers.
All right.
Hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for being a part of Halftime Chat. Please remember to subscribe, share, and comment. But most importantly, why don't you become a member of Halftime Chat? We've got amazing videos, amazing perks, and being able to support the channel. But anyway, thanks for watching. Take care.
I never participated in that kind of.
And somewhere in between
us for even loving us, on which I did miss you with.
What was it like growing up?
She's still making an impact on 4 houses down.
I have a couple pieces.
Trying to get this one and that one.
That works for you, but just for me,
No. Okay, you're okay.
They don't understand what Joseph Boys winning all spirits.
Play it.
These guys, they all work together.
I mean, I love all different genres.